Little tapper left to the mound. Lugo fielding, throwing on the run, and it gets on by Caglione. That'll bring in the game's first run as Ewing scores. Bichette to third, and all the way to second goes Benj. Now it's thrown to the backstop, and Bichette digging for the plate. He scores. Now the ball gets away again, and Benj will score.
And now Tolbert jolts it into the left field corner and gone. Tyler Tolbert. Slice to left, slicing away from Soto, and that's a fair ball. Caglione scores. Lofton goes to third on a double by Collins. And Massey lines it up the line. He will drive in two. And the Royals have made it 9-7. And they have a runner at second base with nobody out. Grounded right to short. Lindor gets the out at first, but by going to his knees, that eliminated a chance for a double play. The Royals get a run. Little pop-up, shallow center field, and it's down to tie the game.
Salvi golfs it deep into left center field. That is off the wall. Lane Thomas is around third. Salvi has an RBI double, and the Royals have taken the lead for the first time tonight. That's hit well to left field. Soto is at the track. He's at the wall, and it's gone for a two-run home run.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson hanging out with us. We head up until 2 o'clock. Packed show today. Starting around 11 o'clock is when it gets crazy. We'll talk with Jeff Montgomery at 11 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on the last 3 days for the Royals, certainly the last 2 nights or 2 days for the Royals, and the 31 runs that they scored in 17 innings. You know, after the 7th inning last night, I tweeted out that the Royals had a stretch in the month of May where they went 15 games and scored a total of 37 runs. They've scored 31 runs in the last 15 innings, with 8 of those in the finale against the Phillies because they did not bat in the bottom of the 9th, and through the first 7 innings last night, and scoring those 31 runs. So how crazy that is. We'll talk with Jeff Montgomery about Tyler Tolbert, Nick Lofton, this Royals offense, and it does have to be addressed, the continued issues with Seth Lugo. And we update what we discussed on June 26th, where we went and looked at the clear line in the sand of Seth Lugo before and after extension. Before the contract extension, those numbers will stay the same. Those numbers will stay stagnant. So it's easy to carry that over. And then post-contract extension, what we've seen from Seth Lugo and the issues the Royals may have next year if they are carrying that contract and carrying what is currently a 4.6 ERA, but it's a little worse than that because going back to last year. So we'll talk about those things. Jeff Montgomery, 11 o'clock. Todd Lebo in Dallas. He's in the Big D. He's at Big 12 Media Days, and we'll talk with him. He talked with a number of different people representing KU and K-State, and so already talked to Colin Klein, already talked to Lance Leipold. There are 1, 2, 3, thinking of the name, 6 representatives for KU. No, 5. 2 on offense, 3 on defense. I'm trying to think of the list. 2 on offense, 3 on defense, and then there are 4 for K-State, 2 offense, 2 defense. No QB represented for KU. Sort of an indication that you have when you see teams that have a quarterback there or not at the media days of how secure that position is, where we know KU has some different people up for the job, and it's Avery Johnson at K-State. So just as we've seen, Jalen Daniels a number of years for KU going to the media days because that was a spot that was secured as the QB. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I do want to get into a discussion at some point in this hour with Michael and Jack hanging out with us. Jack Johnson here with us for the first hour. The pressure going into year 6 for Lance Leipold after back-to-back 5-win seasons. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Todd Lebo, 11:30, Big 12 Media Days. Coming up at noon, Daniel Sperry from the Kansas City Star. Get his thoughts as we put a bow on the U.S. men's national team's performance in the tournament overall. But what has received most of the oxygen in the room is the rough showing in the round of 16. Get his thoughts on that, where they go from here. Is this the golden generation of players? Is the Pulisic criticism entirely warranted? There's also a scenario that they're still handling it delicately, that maybe there's more criticism to be had for Christian Pulisic. I'll see where he falls on that.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
I'll see where he lands on that one. Like Landon Donovan said, what did he say? You would have to carry me off the field?
Correct.
In a round of 16 game in the World Cup? I'm not walking off the field with an injured foot on my own, under my own power. I'm carried off the field if you want to take me off the field. And if you take me off the field, I'm fighting you when I get over the sideline. I'm not coming off willingly. There will be a discussion, and I think that's how a lot of players would feel. And I think that's how a lot of kids growing up would feel, of like, oh my God, you get an opportunity to play in the World Cup. And it sort of goes along with Pulisic's thoughts before the World Cup started when he said, well, this is just another big tournament. Like, no, it's not. It's not. Don't try to I get it. We're like, oh, it's the World Series, but we got to approach it like it's just another game. But it's not. The Super Bowl's not another game. Wild card round isn't just another game. Divisional round, AFC Championship, Super Bowl, those all increase in intensity and eyeballs and legacy-defining games. Preseason, regular season, end of season, playoff type games where you gotta, play well to get into the playoffs, and then so on and so forth. Just as, Gold Cup, playing for your club, leading into the World Cup qualifiers, although they didn't have to qualify, and then group stage, and then knockout round. Those are not the same. And so it sort of started with that. But we'll talk with Daniel Sperry about those things and the tournament overall. Argentina pulling out an amazing comeback. Tom Brady said that was better than 28-3.
Tom, you were in that game.
He had to go there.
It wasn't better than 28-3.
Well, I don't know what maybe the soccer, but also 28-3 was in the Super Bowl. This was not the World Cup final on July 19th.
Also, we just saw Belgium do it to Senegal.
Yeah, true. So we saw that. We saw, I felt bad for Egypt because they were the better side for 80 minutes. And same thing with Senegal and Belgium. I would say Egypt was the better side for about 55 minutes maybe, because then Argentina really put the pressure on Egypt and was pounding the box constantly the second half. And
Egypt got screwed by the VAR call.
Yeah,
Don't get me started on the dumbassery of that.
I think it was 10 minutes later, roughly, that they went back and said, everything that's happened the last 10 minutes, erase it. It didn't happen. But the clock still ran while that was going on, so it's all good. We'll talk about those things. And then I've got an idea for Daniel Sperry for the World Cup, how to fix soccer, Sterling. People should talk about that more in America, how to fix soccer. My thought yesterday with the second game, with Colombia taking on Switzerland, my thought was, people complain about PKs after 120 minutes. I think maybe, I'll bring this up with Daniel Sperry, is there a chance that FIFA can step in and force PKs at halftime? Because that would have saved us all an hour or so of watching that. Hour and a half of watching that. We could have all been saved. So maybe FIFA, they can step in and make Balogun eligible. They should step in and say, guys, sorry, we're going to PKs right now. So we're just going to save everybody the torture of watching 120 minutes of this, plus stoppage time. So Daniel Sperry comes up at noon. Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk some Chiefs today. We'll talk some cornerbacks today. Big 12 stuff as well. Royals, they break out the bats. Clearly, Tyler Tolbert and Roberto Clemente belong in the same sentence in that they both played baseball in major leagues. And they both have back-to-back 5-hit games. The fact that you've got somebody that has back-to-back 5-hit days and 12 consecutive plate appearances with a hit, tying the Major League Baseball record, it's not a surprise that Bobby Witt is the guy that does that. I mean, he's just that. What's that? How many offensive players do we name before we land on Tyler Tolbert as the one that does that for the Royals this year? Every of the offensive players in the Royals organization. I might have got to Blake Mitchell before I went to Tyler Tolbert.
John Ray would have been up there beforehand for sure. Nick Lofton would have been.
Joey Hammond, oddly enough, he was so fast to the big leagues, fast track to the big leagues. He got 12 consecutive plate appearances this year with a hit before I went, hold on, Tolbert? Are we going with that? And I'm one of the guys that is like Tolbert. I've defended Tolbert for the last year or so because people are like, he sucks at stealing bases. I'm like, he's incredibly efficient. And he's been picked off twice, and 2 of his other caught stealings have been sliding off the base or coming off the base by, fractions of an inch and going to VAR, as they would say. So he's efficient when you talk about beating the throw to second. Okay? He's fine. And he's surprisingly better with the bat than I ever gave him credit for. And we talked about this last year. We talked about it in spring training, if Tolbert would be on the team, what the role would be. Nick Lofton, utility man. Tolbert can play in the dirt and in the grass, but the bat is much better. I asked Les Norman this yesterday, and Jack, I'll get your thoughts on this. I asked Les Norman about this yesterday, and I'll ask Jeff Montgomery. What's the role, or maybe what's the view in the organization, do we think, of Tyler Tolbert? They glowed about him on the broadcast last night about how loved he is in the locker room. Always smiling, great personality, fun to be around. One of the guys that I think they said one of the guys that you leave a conversation with post-game or something, you leave a conversation with him and you feel better and you can't wait to be around him again. That guy's going to get more opportunities to play. Is he viewed as somebody that actually can be on a division-winning team as the utility man? Gerard Dyson, that can also play in the dirt. Terrence Gore was very, very specialty in his role there. He didn't come up to the plate. He certainly would not have been a guy I would have picked for 12 consecutive plate appearances, Terrence Gore. But is Tolbert a guy that in 2027, if they're chasing a division title, that he's on the team and has a role that late-inning base stealer, play different positions, or is this a really hot stretch that in a couple of years we'll be going, oh, that's right, it was Tolbert that did that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that with this current coaching staff, he would have a roster spot, and that's not to be a knock on the coaching staff. It's that they value somebody that can play multiple positions. And it's not that you look at Tolbert and say, well, it's so great that he can play multiple positions and he's really good defensively. He's not great defensively. It allows you to do other things with other players on the roster, right? You can pinch run Tyler Tolbert for Jack Caglione if you wanted to, and you don't need to pull Tyler Tolbert from the game after that because he can stay in right field. Or you can pinch run him for Nick Lofton when Lofton's at third base, and you can just put him over at third base. That allows you to be more flexible, and it's been great to see Tolbert continue to get better with the bat. Now, he hasn't had a big sample size this year. I mean, going into Saturday's game, he had 6 hits on the year. So the 12 hits in a row pushed his average from 200 and a sub 500 OPS to hitting nearly 400 with an OPS near 1,000.
I think Drake told me this morning, he said, I think Tolbert has increased his batting average in the last 2 games higher than what Salvi's batting average is on the season.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right. If you told me that was a true statement, that sounds about right.
It's a great way to look at it. And the way I view it is if Tyler Tolbert's the 26th man on your roster, you don't really need to overthink it. And that's even if he doesn't finish the year that well. He's quick. He's versatile defensively. He can do a little bit with the bat. I believe that his goal should be, I just need to be a Swiss Army knife. You know, if they call upon me to come off the bench and lay down a bunt to move guys over late in the game, I got to be able to do that. If they call upon me to pinch run at first base, I got to be able to get to second base on a stolen base, and I got to be able to score with the game on the line. And if you do that, then you don't need to go in the offseason saying, well, how do we upgrade the 26th spot on the roster? Most teams don't really do that, but it has been a pleasant surprise this year outside of a couple of guys that have been up and down between Omaha and Kansas City. But Nick Lofton and Tyler Tolbert have done good things where you would say, we don't really need to overthink that going into next year, where if you hold on to Lofton, you say, Lofton can play around the diamond, he can play third base. He can play second. He can play a little bit of the outfield. Not well, but he can just be serviceable there, and you don't need to make another move late in the game. And offensively, that's what matters for a bench player. You want to be able to handle the bat a little bit, where I felt like for a number of years, the Royals might have overvalued defense alone, or they overvalued pinch running alone. And if you're a contending team, one that expects to go deep into October, you can't gift a spot to somebody on the bench that can only do one of those things. They could do it for Terrence Gore because they were already great everywhere else, and that's our cheat code. He's not going to play, but we can steal a run or two late in the game. When you're trying to catch up and chase teams and overcome a 3-run deficit, well, you can't have two guys on your bench that are hitting $140 and can't do anything other than play defense or steal bases.
And that's sort of where I wonder, you've got 13 and 13 on a roster. And when I say 27-28, it's sort of like, this is the top 6 or 7 in a rotation when you start the season, like Bergert, Kuderna, Avila. You're like, okay, they got 8 guys in the rotation. Is Tolbert a 25-26, or in a perfect world in a division winner, is he actually 27 or 28? And somebody gets injured, boom, he's the first guy you bring up because you're better at other spots and you don't necessarily need that particular guy unless you're so good at other spots and you've got a base stealer that can stay in the game. But in a perfect world, if this team was winning a division, next year, is Tolbert 27 or 28? Somebody goes down, he's the first or second guy they call up.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I like him because of the versatility, and I think defensively he's better than, let's say, Nick Lofton, right? I think he's better defensively, especially on the infield. Outfield for Tolbert has been at times a little bit of an exercise.
They tried him in center field a number of times last year, and it was a rough go of it.
But I think he's played a pretty good defense on the infield. You just can't have 4 of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have Lofton and then Massey and then like an India and then a Kyle Isbell needs a platoon in center with Lane Thomas, a Starling Marte, a Tyler Tolbert. Because of those 4 guys, you need a backup catcher, whether that's Salvi and Carter, however you want to break that down going forward. Right now you have Luke Maley. You can't have platoons at all these different spots. It's why it's so important that, and it's been good, Cags and Carter have both hit lefties very well. Because if they haven't hit lefties, that'd be a real roster crunch moving forward. The fact that Vinny's not hit lefties well at all has been he hasn't hit anyone well, but especially lefties has been not ideal. You can't platoon your first baseman. To me, I think Tolbert would be ahead of Nick Lofton. I think, as far as the back end of the roster, just because of his versatility. You can have a spot for both, and I think next year, I don't know your guys' thoughts, second base might still be that platoon of Massey and Lofton, but at some point you can't have 4 platoon guys.
Yeah. And that's obviously all of the injuries that have taken place this year. And I think if there are some positives from this year, I think a couple of positives could be Nick Lofton has shown that he's more than a 4A player.
Agreed.
Which I think he's been for 3 years, but this could be the natural progression of just a pro player, even though a second-round pick you would hope wouldn't take 4 years to become a good utility player. But he was drafted for his bat. And through the minor leagues, he was fine. And then as, he's gotten to AAA, he's felt like a 4A player. But you've got Nick Lofton that's proven that he can play more if called upon. Tyler Tolbert, for a very limited sample size, is doing more with the bat than I think most people would have guessed, especially with a couple of home runs. If you can't have 2 or 3 of those guys on your roster unless you were so solid everywhere else. But having 2 or 3 of those guys in your organization that you can call upon if somebody goes down for an extended period of time, that you can bring them in. I just wonder, was there ever a thought that, is Tolbert Dyson closer to Dyson than Gore in the Royals' mind? Is the bat going to play enough to where you could keep him in a game, or he could be Nick Lofton, that if somebody goes down, he's brought in to play multiple positions, but the bat's good enough to where it's not an automatic out every time, and he's brought up not just simply to be a base stealer in the 7th, 8th, or 9th and a spot on a playoff roster, because you don't need, in theory, as many pitchers on your particular team with that. But is the bat good enough to where this small sample size is at least a sliver of what he could be?
I think every hitter at the big league level has to have. Now, his stretch has been out of this world, right?
Yeah.
But
that's why I say like a sliver of what he's been to where you could stay in the majors. Like, is a better bat than, let's say, David Howard, who was a great utility guy for 5 years with Monty, a guy I'm going to bring up with Monty, but, wasn't a base stealer, really good defensive player, but, wasn't all that strong with the bat. His role was to play every position on the field.
His thing's going to be contact, really. And, going back to the point of seeing success, a guy like Tyler Tolbert has to see that a couple of times to get really comfortable at the plate. Like last year, he did handle the bat somewhat well. I mean, he didn't get a ton of opportunities, but it's not like he went up there and hit a $120 and you said he's got zero chance of actually driving in anybody.
That Joey Gathright.
Yeah, but even, I would say for a guy like Tolbert, I'm sure everybody's telling him, man, you put the ball in play, you put the ball on the ground, you're going to leg out a lot of these. He had 3 straight infield singles, and
I was going to say, out of his 12 hits, what were 4 of them infield singles?
It might have been like 5 or 6, to be honest with you.
The 4 of them pop into my mind. He also he stretched the single into a double, so he's using his speed that way. But yeah, if you're going to have 12 consecutive plate appearances to get a hit, you better be fast.
Yeah, contact and chase rate will be the key for him if we can ever evaluate him as a true bat in the lineup, because if he's not chasing and he can put the ball in play, well, it's going to put a lot of pressure and a lot of strain on defenses. We saw that. Now the Mets have a horrific defense, and Bo Bichette is a liability over at third base. I can't blame him. He's at short, but there were multiple plays where you went, maybe a really good defensive third baseman ends that streak a lot earlier, but still the thought process, the game plan at the plate, that's what he has to do. Because then naturally it's going to lead you into what happened yesterday and the day before where he actually hits one out because he gets a favorable pitch, because pitchers might look at him and say, I'm just going to try to get it by him here. I'm not worried that he's going to do a ton of damage here. He doesn't have a ton of power. He's not a very big guy. But as long as that doesn't become, in his mind, doable more often than not, right, hitting home runs, there is a chance that he can be that guy off the bench that hits 270. He swipes 20 bags for you and can play right field, center field, shortstop, second base, third base. And a lot of teams around baseball would really value that. He's also 28. Yeah, so
exactly.
It's not like he's a 23, 24-year-old guy. It's weird to say. Nick Lofton's younger than him.
Yeah, he's 28 and a half.
So he's inching closer to 30.
He didn't just turn 28.
Yeah, so I would say the last couple of days, I take it for what it is. It's a really cool moment for a guy that seems to be an awesome teammate, an easy guy to root for. But long term, he's going to get his chance because he's definitely going to be in the lineup tonight, and he's probably going to be in the lineup every day moving forward because the All-Star break's coming up, and then until Garcia's coming back, there will be opportunities to play.
Yeah, you can't go 12 consecutive plate appearances and get a hit if you're a strikeout guy or a high whiff guy. So your point about putting the ball in play. He put the ball in play every single time. Hit it hard a couple times, slow rollers a couple of times, but if you're that fast, you can't be a swing and miss guy. You've got to find a way to make contact, put the ball in play. Gerard Dyson, just put the ball in play. You don't need to be a 3 true outcome. You're not Adam Dunn. You don't need to hit it 500 feet. Sometimes hitting it 25 feet will do. That might be just enough to be able to get on base, just as he did with the tying plate appearance and the slow roller to short that was not made over there at first base because the throw wasn't made because he was too fast. So let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Let's talk some Big 12 Media Days on the other side of the break. The Kansas State Wildcats, the Jayhawks, they are down in Dallas. Todd Lebo's there. We'll talk with him coming up an hour from now. He's got some clips from Lance Leipold and Colin Klein. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. More Zone next.
On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Oh, no, I bet on this dude and he went out at the 62nd minute. Oh, is my bet over? FanDuel says it shouldn't be. That's stupid because the FanDuel Super Sub, if your player is subbed out, your bet stays in. That is correct. If your player leaves the match early, your bet continues on with the substitute. So this way, you're in it until the final whistle. This has helped me out tremendously during all of the soccer matches going on. How many times have I bet on a dude to have an assist? I like doing the goal / and or assist. When you do that, hey, that's more opportunity. But now with the new guy coming in for the sub, fresh legs, fresh opportunity to score. No game on today, but taking a look at that Thursday slate should be a great one with France and Morocco. So make sure you get in on the action right here on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus in President, Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, hanging out here on a Wednesday edition. We will talk with Jeff Montgomery coming up at 11 o'clock. Todd Lebo at 11:30. Daniel Sperry at noon. Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. There's breaking news in Major League Baseball. It has happened, folks. I know this is going to be, there are going to be people that agree or disagree with this. I'm excited about it. I was hoping it would happen. And that is Jack. J-A-C, Jack Dup is in the home run derby. Cags is in the home run derby, baby. We talked about it. You don't have to be an all-star to be in the home run derby. They did it last year with O'Neal Cruz. And oddly enough, if you look at the stat cast and the exit velocity, it's O'Neal Cruz and Cags. And the swing being messed up doesn't scare me. Bobby participated in the home run derby. His numbers post-home run derby were better than what they were pre-home run derby. He hit for a higher average. He hit more home runs after the home run derby than he did before with less games to play. So
I also think less for guys who have that sort of swing. Like, the whole Bobby Abreu one makes sense because he wasn't a traditional home run hitter. And so when you're trying to
That's why people worried about Bobby.
Yeah, because I think Bobby Witt would be a guy you would probably worry about. I don't worry about Cags.
Nope. Jack?
Not one bit. He's built for things like this, and it's a great opportunity for him to go. I would say my vote right now would be Caglione and Caminero.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know we don't have the whole list yet. Just
Caminero's just been on a stupid stretch. I mean,
it's
just ridiculous how good Caminero has been. And it's different this year. So it's not the time to where you got to watch the baseball, but also on the other split camera, you got to see the guy hit, and then the number on the board is actually like maybe 2 home runs behind, so you don't know actually how many home runs they're at. It's going to be swings this year. And then if you get to the end and you get to your total number of swings and you hit a home run, then you can keep going until you don't hit a home run. So it's going to be different this year where we'll actually get to see the majestic shots, and hopefully we'll get to see how far the hits go, the home runs go. Has been one of my issues is when the ball is landed in so many years past, we would see like 438, 460 when it would land. Now it just lands and then it goes to the next one and we don't see it. You got to go to ESPN2 to see the StatCast broadcast, but it's from a different angle and point of view, and it's got all the other things which are cool on there. I just want to know how far it went when it landed. That's it. Cags in the home run derby. Heck yeah. That is awesome. Pumped about that. Lance Leipold did not get the invite to the home run derby. Neither did Colin Klein. Shocker, by the way. Neither of those guys are participating in the home run derby. We know the anticipation level for K-State fans and Colin Klein. There's an element of this is the next great era of K-State football. Looking back to the Bill Snyder era, Nebraska had that sort of feel going into Scott Frost, and it didn't turn out to be the case. I hope it does for Colin Klein. But there's anticipation and excitement around what Avery Johnson will look like with Colin Klein. This is now year 6 for Lance Leipold. And some of the shine has come off in the excitement and the fandom around KU football and Lance Leipold. 2 wins to 6 wins to 9 wins. And then 24 and 25. 24 was a rougher season because of the expectations and how many different games were lost in 1 or 2 bad plays that took place. Not playing in Lawrence, I think, does have an impact when you're playing at Sporting or Arrowhead every game. You're a road team just like everybody else. I do think that has an impact. They finished 4-2 to get to 5 wins. Last year, mid-season, they're sitting there with 4 wins, and they finish 1-5 to get to 5 wins. So it's back-to-back years getting to the mark of 5 and not getting over the hump. It's not that, the hot seat or anything like that, but is this a season to where maybe it's Matt Quattrero, to where going into this year, nobody thought Matt Quattrero's not on the hot seat, right? But then how bad this year has been, however it finishes up, I think there's certainly a chance he enters next year with there's some heat on the seat. You know, it's not necessarily a hot seat, but it's a lot warmer than it's ever been. That if this season goes the way of, let's say, the Royals, that then 2027 might be, we're talking about a make-or-break year for Lance Leipold. So how crucial, Jack, Michael, in your mind, for year number 6 for Lance Leipold to at minimum get to a bowl?
It's more so important for Lance Leipold himself, I would say, because I'm of the belief that whether this goes really well or not, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the last year for Lance Leipold, period, just because he's going to retire. I mean, if he was a mid-40s coach and, he was young when you brought him on, and he had, brought the program back from the depths of hell, basically, then you would say, okay, well, when are you going to elevate us into being a true Big 12 title contender? Because the Big 12 is not that strong. I mean, we've seen the last 3 years some team come out of the blue and just dominate. I mean, Arizona State was picked to be dead last in the conference the year they won the Big 12 championship. So it's doable. You can't say that it's not possible. But I believe Andy Kotelnicki coming back to Lawrence had a little bit of the, I'll come back if I'm the head coach in waiting. And you're not going to make a guy who you're paying a lot of money to be the OC just the OC for 3 or 4 more years. You had to have had some agreement of, I'll come back if I can be the head coach the year after that. And he probably has the utmost respect for Lance Leipold because they've been together for years. So he's saying, I will come be his OC for a year, and then we'll reevaluate this thing in year number 2. But for Leipold, the reason I say it's important for him is because when he got KU back to where they were from, I kind of believe it was an agreement among the fan base of, like, you're not going to ever run this guy out. Like, he would have to then go back to being 1-11, 2-10, 0-12, where you're an embarrassment again. The fact he did that, I don't believe we can ever underestimate or not talk about how difficult that was for so many coaches just to bring them to respectability. Les Miles was far past his prime in coaching, but he brought in good players. They just couldn't get the results for it. David Beatty was a guy who had been in Lawrence and was a young, upcoming coach, though I don't really know how upcoming he really was. It didn't work out. Turner Gill had success at Buffalo like Leipold did. It didn't work out. And so Leipold doing that, if he goes 5-7 or 4-8, me, even being a KU fan, I would say, well, it probably came down to the fact the defense was not very good again, and they didn't really have a quarterback. I mean, they had 3 guys they might have rotated around. They tried Ballard, they tried Marshall, they tried Jenkins, and that just, you can't be a top team in college football if you don't have a quarterback who can win you some games. We're going to find out, and that's going to be exciting, and I really believe Kotelnicki coming back gives them a good chance to do that because he turned Jason Bean into a guy that could beat number 6 Oklahoma in a game where he threw 3 interceptions. Like, you still could have a creative enough offense to win you a lot of football games, where I thought the last 2 years with Jeff Grimes and then Zabrowski, who was kind of co-offensive coordinator, there were a lot of games they lost late, yes, because the defense couldn't get a stop and decisions made by Lance Leipold, but there were so many drives where you said, you got to ice the game here, and they couldn't ice the game. And that's what Kotelnicki was able to do many a time. So if he goes 5-7, 4-8, I'm not sure it's his legacy's stained. His legacy is what it is. I view him as a guy that brought KU back, but he might just not be that coach to all of a sudden take them to 11-1. Maybe Kotelnicki is, maybe he's not, and maybe KU shocks the world and they are that surprise Big 12 team this year, but I can't make that prediction until we know, A, who the quarterback is, and B, what that quarterback looks like against really good competition.
I think if you would have told people when Lance Leipold was hired and that whole fiasco of, Les Miles and when that thing took place, and then you go and get Lance Leipold late, if you said, hey, man, he's going to win 17 games over the next 3 years, build a statue. That guy does that.
There were a lot of fans asking for it.
You might need to build that guy a statue. 17 wins in 3 years after, 17 wins in the previous, 10 years or whatever. And you look at it last year, maybe you get to a bowl if Brendan Sorsby is ineligible and not playing for Cincinnati when he probably should have been ineligible and not playing for Cincinnati.
I think it is worth mentioning, even though they went 5-7, they got an offer to go to a bowl game. Now that was because other schools turned it down,
Yeah.
and K-State was also a school that turned it down.
But I think traditionally when we say bowl eligibility.
Of course,
yeah.
and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But I also think KU is not a school that is in a position to turn down bowl games. Now, I was upset that they didn't decide to travel and go play in whatever terrible bowl game they got, but I'm in 100% agreement
Dueling
with Jack.
Banjos Bowl?
Yeah.
I'd go to that.
That'd be great.
I agree with Jack. This
purty mouth.
might be Leipold's last year regardless. For his legacy, I think it changes completely, even if he leads KU to 8 wins. That is what he hit, in 2024, I want to say, with Jason Bean?
9.
It was 9 wins?
Yeah, he got to 9.
I guess including the bowl game?
Yep.
So, yeah,
9
wins.
They won the it was a guaranteed rate.
It was a guaranteed rate in
they
Arizona.
They got a guaranteed rate win. That's what they did. And a lot of times, if you get a guaranteed rate, if it's a good one, that's a win.
If you could sign up for that in 2026, I think
Well, yeah.
unequivocally his
Immediately.
legacy is at a much better state than it currently is, just because of how the last couple seasons have gone. But I don't think you can take away from where he has taken the program, but it's also fair to say that could a different coach maybe take them further?
Well, if Ketelnicki takes over and is really good and takes him to another level, then I think that's part of Lance Leipold's
It's
overall.
that Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes compare. I mean, it's
because
like
Ketelnicki wouldn't be at Kansas if it weren't for Lance Leipold taking over at Kansas and bringing Ketelnicki with him, and then having the relationship to bring him back from Penn State.
Well, it's not that you accept mediocrity, right? But you do have to at times sit down and go, we're talking about 5 and 7 seasons that are seen as disappointments, right? Where for years it was when you turned on the TV, you said, please just don't lose 77-0, where you're absolutely embarrassing everybody that has anything to do with the University of Kansas. Lance Leipold getting them to that point was always going to be that middle portion of building these blocks, right? Building the first block was don't get embarrassed on Saturday, and they did that the first year. There was a couple of bad losses, but they beat Texas. They hung in there late in the season. Then they went 6-7, I believe it was, and lost to Arkansas the bowl game. But they had College Game Day. They were undefeated. They were ranked. The next year they were 7-2 late in the season. They were top 20, I believe. They had Big Noon Kickoff. They beat Oklahoma. Then the last couple years, they took the steps back, but also you can expect some regression to happen when you aren't loaded with a bunch of 5-star talent all the time. I mean, they had a lot of good players, but a lot of it comes down to player development. And the fact KU's been right there in a handful of games, yes, it makes you want to rip your hair out. I also believe a big thing he probably needs to do before he retires, he has to beat K-State. He has to beat K-State, and it's going to be really tough to do that in Manhattan, but that hangs over you where, yeah, you did a lot, but you still couldn't snap that losing streak that K-State's had over you for a decade plus, 15 years plus now. And so, yeah, I would say that it really just matters for his own football legacy and probably what he wants to achieve, more so than 10 years from now, if they go 5-7, we'll say, well, it still was a great run for Lance Leipold, considering how awful it was from 2009 to 2020. Yeah.
And even that last year in 2020, you had games where, if you just go through the schedule, 47-14, 47-7, 55-14, 52-22, 62-9, 59-23. Those were the losses for Les Miles in his final year. And they lost 16-13 there in that last one to go defeated. But still, those numbers, 47-14, 47-7, 55-14, 52-22, 62-9, 59-23. Like, that's where you turn on the TV and go, don't lose by 30 today. Oh, they did. That sucks. Okay, well, you're probably not even keeping it on for 4 quarters. It's like, all right, well, let's go out and do something else, or change the channel, or, hey, honey, it's nice outside. We can go to the park today now with the kids because they're already down by 4 touchdowns in the first quarter.
I'd rather go stand in the rain than watch this.
That's right. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone wrapping up this hour right after this. Well, you know, the world's biggest soccer tournament continues to heat up in the United States, and it's going on in Kansas City as well. As we know, coming up on Saturday, we have the 2 teams, Argentina and Switzerland, making the quarterfinals and playing on Saturday night. And on Kalshi, you can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final and including the quarterfinals. Off day today and then should be really fun game tomorrow, France and Morocco, and then on into Friday with Spain and Belgium. But on Saturday, Argentina and Switzerland. I was hoping it would be Colombia, but it was not. It was Switzerland. But on Kalshi, when that game started, if you had a regulation time tie with Colombia and Switzerland, it was trading about 15%. You put some money on that one, and all of a sudden, you are increasing your bankroll by a pretty decent amount. In fact, for instance, if you were to put, let's say $100 on it, you'd be looking at over $500. If you put $10 on it, you'd be looking at over $50 just on a regulation tie with Colombia and Switzerland. You've got some heavy favorites in the next round, in the round of 8. France, heavy favorite. Spain, heavy favorite. England, decently heavy favorite. Argentina, heavy favorite. We've also seen some upsets happen, so this might be the time if you go to Kalshi and you're trading against peers in a live market. It's great. There's no house that you have to worry about. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. That's what I've done a number of times in these matches, and it has helped. Instead of waiting for the whole thing, you can also maybe cash out a little bit earlier and then boom, go and play the other side. I've done that before as well. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code Jason810. It's Jason810 to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Kalshi, trade the beautiful game.
18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
That's all.
All right, wrapping up this hour, we'll talk with Jeff Montgomery coming up in the next segment, and then Todd Lebo coming up at 11:30. Daniel Sperry, we'll talk with him coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour will join us. Jack Johnson hanging out with us here for the first hour. Jack, thank you, sir. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime.
How many hits tonight for Tolbert?
Let's go 2.
4.5. Over under 4.5.
Over.
Have we ever
Mets
seen
bullpen.
Have we ever seen 3 straight 5-hit games? Because I said the last one to have back-to-back was Clemente. Until tonight, 3 straight for Tyler Tolbert. We'll see. What if Q keeps him out of the lineup tonight?
A lot of anger on
I would love the anger of like, how can you not play Tolbert?
Jeff Montgomery is brought to you by ImageNet Consulting. From IT to audiovisual to secure print, ImageNet Consulting keeps Kansas City business moving. Visit ImageNet.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Let's talk some Royals baseball. Jeff Montgomery here with us in the zone. Monty, how are you, sir?
Jason, doing pretty good. Look, these last 3 games the Royals have played, especially after last night. I think if that game last night were a basketball game, they certainly would call that one a barn burner.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I just looked at the score, at the box score. I think they just scored again. I think the Royals just played it across another run or two. 36 runs in the last 3 games, 31 the last 2 games. I mean, how do you explain what we're seeing from this offense, especially the last couple of games, and what you've seen from what they've been doing out there offensively?
Well, I think, a lot of it's just the level of confidence right now with guys, coming to the plate. We talk about it all the time, how streaks and slumps are, always going to be part of baseball. And when you get hot, you get hot. There's going to be a cold spell coming somewhere down the road, but you ride it as long as you can. And just the way things have gone, especially the way Tyler Tolbert has contributed over the last couple of days, just been amazing to watch it. But I think they're just comfortable, they're confident, and you hear them all talk about it. Almost every time you hear them being interviewed, they're just up there trying to execute their plan, sticking with the plan that they've got. And, it doesn't always work, but when it works, especially the way we've seen the last couple of games, it's a lot of fun to watch. And I was looking at some of the numbers for the last couple of days, 20 for 43 with runners in scoring position. So I think that kind of tells a story. They've had a lot of opportunities to get hits, and then they've come through with those hits.
How frustrating can it be then? Let's look at it from obviously the positive side of just the confidence of everybody going up to the plate thinking they're going to get a hit. I guess how frustrating can it be to where you may not be going that well and you're like, why can't I just tap back into that? Because it's such a mental game. If you walked up to the plate that confident every time, you'd be a heck of a hitter. But it is so hard to keep that sort of confidence where you're just letting your body and your training and your preparation sort of just take over, and you think you're going to get a hit. It's just such a massive advantage as opposed to struggling and going up there and thinking that you wake out of bed, you're already down 0-2.
Yeah, I can't really speak to it as much from a hitter standpoint, but I know it really is the same with regards to pitching. And when you're going good, it just seems like things click. They just happen. You don't try to force things to happen, and then you get in this funk, and then you got to work through it. You just have you have to deal with it. It's part of it. When you finally get through it, you look back and you want to kick yourself in the rear, saying, "Why didn't I do that earlier? Why didn't I figure that out a week ago?" And then you kind of get back into the the rhythm you need to be in, and the mechanics follow. But that's part of the process, and you become a better player, a better, more experienced player if you learn from those funks that you work yourself through. And hopefully that's what's going to happen with a lot of these guys with the bats. They're going to figure, hey, I did this little thing, this little adjustment that I made to help me really kind of get back to where I need to be. And then next time you have that, that slump that you're working through, you can kind of go back to where you found the way to get out of it the previous time or times before.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, our guest. Royals 3 in a row winners, and offensively they are as hot as they are hotter than anybody in baseball over the last certainly 2 games, but 3 games as well. And you got back-to-back games with 5 hits and 12 consecutive plate appearances getting a hit. And obviously, what a great stretch for Bobby Witt Jr. You knew that. Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, Tyler Tolbert is the one that did that. Boy, how many players, Monty, and this is no offense to Tyler Tolbert. I think it's a great story, and I want to talk about maybe the future with the Royals with Tyler Tolbert. But how many players would you have named if I said there's going to be a player this year that has 12 consecutive plate appearances with a hit and will have back-to-back 5-hit games for the first time since Roberto Clemente? How many players would you get to before we landed on Tyler Tolbert?
It certainly would have been a long list, I'm sure of that. But I think one thing that would be the common denominator if you're going through the players would be someone who has speed, someone who can
good call,
leg out some infield hits and some swinging bunts that end up being hits. And it's just coincidental that those happen 12 consecutive times. And I don't know how many of those were leg out hits where he was just able to hit the ball in a position or maybe not make solid contact, being able to beat out an infield hit. But I knew there were certainly more than just one. So that's one thing that speed does. It keeps you out of extended slumps, and we saw that with Tyler Tolbert during his stretch there.
Obviously, nobody could have guessed that he would do this with the bat. What is you've been around the Royals, around them, spring training. Tyler Tolbert's been around for the last couple of years, up and down, at least with the big league club, up and down at times. What do you think the Royals view, whether it be the front office or the coaching staff, of Tyler Tolbert as a player? Is it a guy that, has a spot on a 27-man roster that can play different positions? Is it a guy that he's a 4A player and we'll use him from time to time? Is it a guy that maybe could be a little bit more? I mean, he's 28 years old. What's the view, do you think, in the Royals organization of Tyler Tolbert?
I think they look at Tyler Tolbert as a real luxury, a player that you can have who can do a lot of different things. We know that the primary reason for Tyler Tolbert having a spot on the roster is to be available in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning to come in, steal a base for you in a one-run game, and help you win a baseball game with speed. But due to the Michael Garcia injury, due to the Vinny Pasquantino injury, we're seeing some players given opportunities, Nick Lofton being one, Tyler Tolbert being another, who are given these opportunities to go out and play really on a somewhat of an everyday basis now. And I think like a lot of players who maybe are what you'll call the role players, the bench players, given opportunities, they're able to shine. And I think it just takes opportunities, and it takes, for hitters, it takes plate appearances and at-bats in order to get kind of locked into that frame of mind where you're going to play, you're going to prepare. Tyler Tolbert's just not going to come to the ballpark and take ground balls, and he's not going to take fly balls. He's going to do more than just get ready to go in and steal a base and get ready to be a defensive replacement late in the ball game. He now is ready to play a baseball game and do what he's done his whole life, and that's help a team win a baseball game. So I think the Royals look at him as a player that has versatility, has the ability to help in a lot of different ways. And now that we're seeing what he's able to do playing on a more frequent basis, I think it probably elevates his level of what his future looks like. When you need a player to come in and play for more than just a day or two at a time, when somebody's maybe got a little nagging injury, you want to give him a couple days off. Now he's a guy you can plug in there and let him play for more than just a couple days and play for an extended period, and then be a productive player, because you don't do what he has done the last couple of days without some abilities.
How difficult is that to be a utility player, to where, for instance, Tyler Tolbert's last 5 starts with the Royals have come at 4 different positions? He has started right field twice, but other than that, third base, left field, and shortstop. And in fact, the last 2 nights when he had the stretch of 12 straight plate appearances, he started at shortstop and then right field. How difficult is that you got to have your bat, you got to have your speed, but you've got to be taking infield in the dirt. You got to be taking the fly balls. You got to be, on different sides of second base or center field, the different ways the ball will move in the air. How difficult is it to just be a utility player? They've got 2 of them on this team that are everyday players right now, with he and Nick Lofton. But what's the difficulty there of guys you've been around that have had to do some of those things and play all different types of positions?
Well, I think if you ask an everyday player who plays like a particular position, I'll say you ask Bobby Witt Jr., how difficult would it be? Obviously, he's gifted. He could do a lot of different things. But I bet Bobby Witt Jr. would say it's really it takes a lot. It takes a lot of hard work in order to refine yourself to play both sides of the infield, or play infield and outfield. And I know that, the guys who do that, the Tyler Tolberts, the Nick Loftons, they're appreciated by their teammates, because they've got to put in enormously more work than about anybody on the team, because they'll come out to for batting practice, and they might have 4 different gloves that they're taking out there to get their work at various positions. And one thing you'll hear guys say about Tyler Tolbert is his work ethic is top notch. He works harder than anyone. I've heard numerous guys say that over and over. Even Matt Quatrero, who, when asked about Tyler Tolbert, he's always very quick to say he really appreciates the attitude that he brings and a work ethic that he provides, and he's a really good example of what a good teammate's all about.
Can he be a guy, someone that you played with, early to mid '90s, and in fact the connection now with the games and on TV? But can he be a David Howard type player that is around the team? And Howard was mainly second base shortstop, but I think as his years progressed, he started playing in the outfield a lot more as well, along with second base, shortstop, and then second base as well. Can Tolbert play that sort of role and be a guy that just is relied upon to go out and play different defensive positions and not relied upon to have a 800 OPS or anything like that, but just be a solid ball player?
Yeah, and I think if you would have asked me without mentioning David Howard, that's the name that would have come to mind to me, with someone that I played with that had the ability to do all those things, play both sides of the ball in the infield, play third base if you need him to. He can play in the outfield. He can do a lot of different things. And I think the difference is when you look at David Howard versus a Tyler Tolbert has that elite level speed as well. So the one thing that I always said about players like David Howard, for example, they're really good when you can limit the amount of work they have to do because of their physical size. They don't have that same physical ability for the long season, the endurance factor where you're getting beat up a lot. And after playing for more than, say, a couple weeks every day at a time, you would start to see a little decline in the performance just because the player's getting run down a little bit. He's getting, maybe exposed a little bit as well. Some guys I think are better when they just accept the fact that they're going to be a utility guy or, a part-time player, because they can then shine and play at a really high level on those limited opportunities. But if you run them out there for 2 months in a row, by the end of that stretch, they're worn down a little bit physically, and they just don't have the ability to perform at that same level as when they were fresh and everything was clicking, so to speak, with regard to their body.
David Howard does not have the speed of Tyler Tolbert, but I'm going to guess Tolbert doesn't have the golf swing of David Howard.
No.
So, just going to guess.
Well, one time I heard someone ask George Brett, the best athlete that he's ever played with, and Bo Jackson being one of those players George played with. And when George answered the question, David Howard was the best athlete he ever played with, I think a lot of people kind of took a double take. Well, how about Bo? But David Howard is one of those guys that he could beat you on a basketball court, a tennis court, a golf course, wherever he would have the opportunity to play, he would find a way. He's just a very gifted, athletic individual.
I wanted to ask about, if we were talking about a utility infielder or a utility player, not necessarily infielder, but just utility player that's playing in the dirt and in the grass this year, I don't know that I would, 2 weeks ago, it wouldn't have been about Tyler Tolbert. It would have been about Nick Lofton. And, it's a credit to Nick Lofton because going into this year, I viewed him as, look, this guy's a 4A player. He comes up to the big leagues, doesn't necessarily perform all that well, goes down to the minors, looks like a good player, and, okay, maybe now it's going to click. He's 27 years old. He's been with the Royals organization, for a while. This is his 4th year making appearances in Major League Baseball. Is this maybe the more natural progression of a player that, we see superstars come up and stay, but if you're looking at just your baseball players, typical of pro ball, that Nick Lofton more, fits the mold of a guy that 24, 25, 26, slowly progressing and then getting a chance to play every day right now and is coming through and performing and sort of putting it all together?
Well, I think when you look at Nick Lofton, here's a guy who I think he was a second-round pick out of Baylor. So you don't pick a guy second round and from a program like Baylor and not expect some type of a return. And I think that, it's for Nick, it's just been limited opportunities based on players have been ahead of him. But once you finally kind of break through and you have the chance to, play on a more frequent basis, you then can be given the opportunity for your tools to kind of show themselves up and allow you to stick and become a player that you can count on. And you're no longer a 4A player. You're a big league player and a player who has the ability to do a lot of different things, different positions and different situations. But I think before Nick Lofton started playing every day, I think he was like 5 or 6 in pinch hit opportunities off the bench. So, he's got a lot of value just because of his ability to do both of those things.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, I wanted to talk about the flip side of some of the things we're seeing we're talking about the positive of Tyler Tolbert and Nick Lofton, but Seth Lugo this year has, continued to struggle and, struggled again last night. If you break it up into 2 different stretches for Lugo as a Royal, his first 53 games that he started with the Royals, he was averaging 6 2/3 every start. So going into the 7th inning, had a 3 ERA and a 1.1 WHIP. And then the randomness, coincidence, I'm not sure, of the contract extension last end of July. He's made 24 starts since then. He's averaging a full inning less. He's got a 5.5 ERA and a 1.6 WHIP in that time. What are we seeing from Seth Lugo? Is this a bad stretch of baseball? Is a guy getting older and the arm doesn't respond the way that it used to? What's going on with Lugo and what has been a prolonged stretch and a rough overall season this year from his standards?
Well, if I was going to just say one thing that I've noticed about Seth Lugo is he's a guy that can spin the ball with really, really enormous spin rate. He's got either the highest or second highest spin rate on his breaking ball in all of baseball. Mm-hmm. And I just have not seen that same sharpness on his breaking balls. A lot of the home runs he's allowed, a lot of the hits he's given up have been on breaking balls, where he spins the baseball, whether it be a slow curve or a slurve or a slider or whatever his spin might be. I just have not seen the same finish on those pitches. Now, why? You have to ask. And maybe some of the things you mentioned there, he's getting a little older. But we know he went on the IL last year toward the end of the season. I think he may have missed most of the last month of the year. Mm-hmm. So maybe there might be some issues regarding, his level of health as well. I don't know. I've not heard any reasons or excuses with regards to his health, but I have noticed that the spin on his breaking ball has not been the same. At least the finish on his breaking balls has not been the same as we saw when he was so dominant, especially in that 2024 season.
Yeah, I think people might be surprised when they look at like the fastest spin rate on let's say specifically a curveball. It would be like, okay, which players in Major League Baseball have the fastest spin rate? Well, Seth Lugo's been clocked as the fastest with the curveball, but it's like Nolan McLean with the Mets, who's, a superstar, young guy, and Seth Lugo. And I think people might be surprised by that, but it's an interesting point. If that spin rate starts to decrease that he is able to generate, then does that break happen as much? And then are you hanging a few more? And I wonder, how do you generate the spin rate? Is something missing there? I don't know, but it would be nice for the Royals certainly to see him bounce back and get back to being the pitcher that he was in 2024 and the first half of last year. But you're right, he missed all of September. So he's made 24 starts since then. It's been a rough stretch of baseball, unfortunately for Seth Lugo and the Royals. But we'll see if he can bounce back. The Royals tonight, they are in New York, an opportunity to win their second consecutive series. A bullpen game going today. Monty, how often when you were pitching in your prime, how often were bullpen games used for professional teams?
Not very often. I don't remember any, to be honest with you. I know at one point, Tony La Russa tried to do some things where he was having issues with his pitchers when he was managing the Oakland A's, and he was going to kind of go backwards. And he started with his closer in the first inning, and then he'd kind of go backwards throughout. I don't think that worked out really well, but regardless, it was so different. I think maybe going back to like 2017 or 18 when the Tampa Bay Rays started using the opener. To me, that's when it became more of a a common theme with regards to using your bullpen to pitch all 9 innings. So, and even then, there was always a bulk reliever, someone that's going to go hopefully more than just an inning or two, hopefully give you 4 or 5 innings of length. But I just don't remember a lot of bullpen games back in the day, but you obviously things have changed enormously.
Yeah. Jeff Montgomery, our guest. Monty, appreciate the time as always, brother. Enjoy the game tonight. Hopefully it's back-to-back series wins against the National League for the Royals as they head in to the All-Star break. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, there's Jeff Montgomery. Royals again in action tonight, game 2 of the 3-game set against the Mets. We take a timeout. We come back. More Zone next.
You're in the Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you to Jeff Montgomery joining us. Royals in action tonight. Game number 2 of the 3-game set. Trying to win back-to-back series. Trying to see if they can get to the 15-run mark for the 3rd consecutive game. And we'll see if Tyler Tolbert will have another 5-hit game tonight.
I like their chances if they score 15 a game. I really do.
Typically, you should go undefeated if you can score 15 runs per game. But we'll see if they can make it 3 games in a row of scoring that. They're already on a crazy streak of winning 3 in a row. Todd Lebo is on a streak of winning every day, and he joins us. He is down in Dallas, where Lance Leipold will be entering year number 6 for the Kansas Jayhawks already somehow, and Colin Klein will be entering year number 1, both down at Big 12 Media Days. Todd, how are you, sir?
Doing great. We are, of course, brought to you by Kansas Lottery, Next Gen Beef, and Plaza Aesthetics and Wellness down here. Having a good time. It's KU and K-State down here today. I had a chance to talk to both the head coaches. Thought we'd play a little bit now talking about the quarterbacks, because that's the most important position in all of sports, and that's where we are. Now, here's the thing. I've been coming to Big 12 Media Days for a long time, and Jalen Daniels from KU is here every year.
Yeah.
He's not here anymore. For the first time in 42 years, he's not Kansas Jayhawk. And Avery Johnson is here for like the 3rd or 4th year in a row. So it's like a tale of 2 cities. Let's hear from Lance Leipold first, because he has not said who his quarterback's going to be. And they're going to have a competition, and there's really no need to talk about it now. But here's Leipold on kind of how he's going to handle this next month or so leading up to the season starting.
Well, first of all, and I talked to both quarterbacks about that, and I'll probably say that a lot today. The question is going to get asked many times about that situation, but I didn't want the whole day just to be those 2 guys talking about each other and doing it. I didn't think it was fair to them or fair to the program. Should have maybe brought both of them. But at the same time, both the thing, I don't know if everyone truly understands, these are 2 quality guys that are highly respected in the locker room, and they have great leadership ability. They're very both capable athletes of leading our offense and our football team, and I know Andy Koldnicki's excited about what they bring each and every day.
So how will the process go? I mean, listen, you make choices at every position every week, but we all talk about quarterback, because that's the quarterback's the quarterback. That's the way it goes. When do you want to know? When do you want to have it figured out? I mean, what's ideal?
When it shows itself to be that way. And the thing you don't want it to be, Todd, is you don't want it to be like every day they feel like their job's on the line, but you want it to be competitive. Of course, with Andy's background and what he does with personnel, I think there's a high probability that both quarterbacks are going to play in games in every game this year together, and there'll be different packages that they'll be utilized. But once one truly separates himself as the guy that's going to be best for this football team, we'll make an announcement on the starter. But I've said this before, there's not a huge timeline. I think we have a really good practice model that allows both guys to get repetitions. Andy and I talked yesterday. Both guys got about 320 reps in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of times for them to do. But again, you got to get the right people working with one another.
They'll get that figured out. Isaiah Marshall, Cole Ballard. I mean, they both played some. They've both been at Kansas the entire time. They're not, transfers who've played a lot somewhere else. It's how they want to do this thing at Kansas. We'll see who they get figured out, and someone's going to be out there, the first quarterback taking a snap when Long Island comes in. Don't know if that's going to be the quarterback all year, because you know how it works, Jason. People get hurt, and you got to find your way through.
Well, the thing that I find to be, whether it's interesting or you wonder what's going on behind the scenes, is that I could understand you would have this quarterback competition heading into the year if you've got a guy that's a transfer and has come in. We've seen that, for instance, at Mizzou a few years ago. It was Sam Horn and Brady Cook, and it was like, okay, you got this redshirt freshman, and you got Brady Cook, and neither of them with a whole lot of experience. Then you got Bo Prabula comes in, and is it Bo Prabula? Is it Sam Horn? Well, Bo Prabula's been there for about 5 minutes, so you got to see what he's done. And then you've got Austin Simmons and Zoller, and mainly going to be Austin Simmons with Mizzou. Kansas State hasn't had that issue because of Avery Johnson, and you mentioned KU hasn't had that issue because of Jalen Daniels. But the question I would have is, what more do they need to see when both players have been on campus for at least 2 years. You've got Isaiah Marshall that is redshirted, played last year. Ballard's played in, 3 or 4 different years, at least 3 years as a redshirt junior that he's been there. And you've gone through spring ball.
My guess is they probably have a lean, but there's no reason to say it now.
Yeah.
Because you want people to keep fighting.
Yeah. No, that would make sense. When he says that, odds are both players will be playing the season in different packages, I mean, that if you're going to have 2 guys that play in different packages, that would indicate to me that Cole Ballard would be your starter, and then Isaiah Marshall would have a running package specifically. And I don't know. I'd like to see them just go with one guy. One guy wins it, and that's who your quarterback is. Odds are you'll need both of them throughout the season. We've seen that from every team. I mean, Mizzou had 3 or 4 different quarterbacks last year.
Saw Drew Pine.
Yeah, absolutely. KU's dealt with that with Jalen Daniels. They certainly know about that. Bean was amazing when he came off the bench and played the way that he did. So odds are both of those guys. But at some point, if I was KU, if I'm Lance Leipold, I'd like to know exactly who my quarterback is for the trip to England. I may still keep it a secret before the Mizzou game just to keep them practicing for 2 different quarterbacks as the second game of the season. So both guys play against Long Island. You should win. And then, oh, hey, Eli, don't know who we're going to play. It might be Cole Ballard. It might be Isaiah Marshall, but they have a better idea. But when you had to
it's only July.
Yeah, when you had to Wembley against Arizona State, you should probably have your quarterback figured out.
You hope it's all figured out.
Actually, from Missouri, you should probably have your quarterback figured out. You just don't need to say who it is.
Yeah, maybe not say.
Yeah.
It is funny as you lead up to this. There's always this people playing coy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I think it was Gary Patterson probably for Tech or TCU one year. He's like, you'll know my quarterback when they go out there for the first snap. I was like, they're in a kickoff classic against somebody. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Just go play. But whatever. It's a different situation at K-State, though, because Avery Johnson is back for his 4th year. Now, they've got a brand-new head coach, but the brand-new head coach comes from there and had coordinated Avery when Avery was a freshman. So there's a lot of synergy on that front. He's not coming into someone he doesn't know. Colin Klein's not coming to someone that he doesn't know as a quarterback and what he's all about. So I did take a chance to talk to Coach Klein about Avery and kind of how maybe he's different now than when he had him when he was back young, and what they can expect out of this senior now.
I think there's no substitute for in-game and live experience, and the amount of starts he's had and been able to have under his belt are a really good thing. I think he's always been, and this is going back to even recruiting him in high school, like his steadiness, his calm, his poise, how competitive he is, all of those things are no different. And if anything, have gotten stronger as he's matured and gotten older. I think his processing speed of the game and how he is with that experience has increased since we worked together last. Have been really excited and had a lot of fun through the spring of even just 15 practices, kind of getting through and getting back on the same page in the early phase, being able to think the same way, talk the same language again, and watching that confidence and speed of decision making continue to improve through the rest of the way.
So it's a really good thing to have a senior quarterback, right? I mean, that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of offense do you envision running with him and with the talent you have on offense?
Well, I think a big emphasis of the spring was strain, finish, and be fundamentally sound. And so I think the identity of our offense is going to take shape into training camp. We've really been very rigorous in building the individual pieces of it. I think 2 weeks into camp, we'll be able to move closer to what we're going to be. We're going to build it around him, and that's something that I definitely believe in is anything that we do, we've got to have really, really good reasons for, but then also we got to build around our quarterback and what his strengths are, how he processes things, the family of schemes that he likes the best and that executes the best, and kind of build it from the inside out.
You kind of have to build it around your quarterback. You can't try to make a quarterback do things that maybe they're not as comfortable with. And he knows Avery very well. Wasn't around him the past couple of years, but was around him a lot earlier. And that's when Avery kind of jumped on the scene. I think he had some of his finest moments when he was coming off the bench and doing certain drives or something when Colin Klein was coordinating. So we'll see what it's like to have him have all the lights on him with Colin Klein as his offensive coordinator, and have them build the whole thing around him here this last year.
Yeah, I wonder how much they'll play off of what they did with Marcel Reed last year, because Colin Klein and Avery Johnson, if we look at what they've done in obviously Colin Klein's last 2 years, but Avery Johnson's last couple of years, way more of running the ball with Colin Klein. As we know, he was phenomenal, led the Big 12 in rushing attempts. His junior year scored 50 touchdowns on the ground the last couple of years, just absurd numbers, where Avery hasn't really done that. He had 100 attempts last year, but threw the ball 377 times, or that was Marcel Reed, I should say, where Avery Johnson threw the ball 341 times and had 109 attempts. So it was almost the same, almost identical, really, of what Marcel Reed did with Avery Johnson. But that was Marcel Reed. It doesn't mean that Avery Johnson is that guy. And I wonder if Colin Klein would maybe like to get more into the running of Avery Johnson. It's one of the things that was going to separate him as a player is his athleticism and speed. And he just looked so indecisive at times of like, should I run? Or no, I've got space to run, but I'm really supposed to pass. So now I need to stand here and wait for somebody to get open. Okay, now it's time to run. Oh, whoops, somebody's there. Somebody was open. He just looked indecisive last year. And if Colin Klein can tap into just Avery play the game, just go and do what you do that made you special. And if you're running, run the ball. If you're going to pass it, here's specific ways that, you're going to be able to do this. But I'm really interested to see what Colin Klein can do to tap into some of what we were hoping would be production from Avery Johnson that hasn't happened to the level that I thought we would see when he became the starter.
I think it's going to be a good marriage on this because he had some special moments when he was a freshman playing for Colin.
Yeah.
But, listen, if it do it the way Colin Klein did it when he was playing, then he will be broken because he's not quite as big. He's not quite as big and strong as Colin was.
I'm not saying carry it 317 times like Colin Klein.
I'm saying carry 315. But when they did that, though. Listen, you're going to have to be, and one of the other things I talked to Coach about was like, there's no balance. You're in on this. This is what we're doing. So, however you do it, you're not halfway in as a K-State football player. You're all the way in. It's going to be a lot more old school than the new school, and that could be interesting in 2026 on if people will do it that way, right? But I think that's how Colin Klein was coached when he was young, and that's the way he's probably done it a lot in his own little way as a coordinator or a position coach, but now he's in charge of everybody like this. So I think they're going to have a real toughness that maybe we haven't seen for a little bit. And not to say that K-State wasn't tough the last year, because I think Chris Klieman was a really good coach and had a tough team, and they battled and all those things. But I think Colin Klein would like to ratchet that up even more.
Yeah.
And if your quarterback is your bell cow and he's the guy who you're building everything around, then he's going to have to be that way too.
Yeah, and the schedule sets up nicely for them this year. Like, you hope that they can hit the ground running, but they don't leave, Manhattan and play anywhere but Bill Snyder, Family Stadium one time in the first, 8 weeks. October 24th will be the second time that they play away from Manhattan. The only other trip is to Cincinnati in September. But so you've got 3 very winnable non-con games. Cincinnati's a winnable game. You get an off day, then you get Houston and Kansas at home after the off before you go to Arizona State and Colorado
you don't play
on
Tech,
the road.
You don't play BYU.
Exactly.
You don't play these teams.
Utah.
The schedule is right there for them.
Yep, it sets up well. And so you're hoping that Colin Klein, we know he's going to go through some growing pains as a head coach, right? We always talk about it in basketball. Sliding over one chair is a massive difference and massive responsibilities from being the guy next to the head coach that's giving advice or saying, hey, this guy's got 4 fouls, coach, as opposed to being the main guy that's deciding those things, timeout, what plays we're going with. And the same thing with now being the head coach with Colin Klein, when to call a timeout, what to challenge, what not to challenge, go for it, don't go for it. There'll be some growing pains, but I do think the process will have more of an ease into the season, as opposed to if, you're Kansas, you've got Long Island, and then you've got Mizzou, and then you go to England the first 3 weeks of the season. So it's a little bit different for K-State with Avery.
Yeah, it should be fun, though. I'm excited, I'm excited for K-State to have Colin Klein back, right? I think Chris Klieman was really good, but it was apparent that he wasn't like he was done with the way football was working now, and that's fine. I don't particularly like it, and if I had millions of dollars, I probably wouldn't be doing it either. But I think Colin Klein has got a real spirit about him, and he loves the university, and that's a good thing. The question is, can you do this? He's never done it before. You don't know. until you try. And I think it has a chance to be a good year for K-State with that schedule and having a senior quarterback and all that.
And Colin Klein, and we'll see what he is as a head coach. I know that we've seen these things before where there is a great coaching candidate, coaching prospect going back to the alma mater. And has it worked? Obviously close to Scott Frost. I don't know the different personalities of Scott Frost.
Maybe the worst example there
it is,
right?
absolutely. It is, but it's the local one to where Nebraska fans were like, okay, we did it. Now we're going to be back to Nebraska. We got our guy in here. And that hasn't really been the case in Manhattan to where they go, okay, we got our guy, because people didn't dislike Chris Kleiman, just didn't like the fact that he would lose to Iowa State often in his tenure there. But I mean, we've seen to where you say this is a really good coaching prospect, but let's see what happens when you've got to go out there and you are the man. I don't know the personality types between the two, but I'm going to guess that Colin Klein doesn't end up being the guy that tries to tear it down on the way out.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And hopefully he's not on the way out anytime soon.
Hey, listen, here's the deal. It's July, so we have excitement for all these programs.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
We do, because it's 0-0 and it's a fresh start, and it'd be fun. And like, I don't know if we didn't talk about this yet, but like KU, we mentioned yesterday the jersey thing now with Monster, and then KU has got their own personal jersey patch thing coming up too. So they're trying ways to get money in to do all these kind of things. It's going to be a different look in the Big 12 for sure. This year, when you look out there and you see things on the field you haven't seen before and things on the jerseys you haven't seen before, but you got to get that money in here somehow to keep this thing rolling.
I was kind of surprised that it was only $20 million for Monster, because if you think about it, the advertising that they're going to get, it's across the entire league. So you've got every single team's social media managers that are going to be posting the Monster this in the Big 12. You've got highlights in Monster. You got it on the field. You got it during Big 12 games. You got it when they're talking about the Monster Big 12 media days. I mean, it's across the board. That they'll be. It's only $20 million. Like, that is a surprise that's the cost of it.
Here's the deal. I've got a hat. Which one of you guys wants the hat? They gave me
Sterling
a hat.
wants it.
Sterling
wants the hat. Yes, please.
Yep, Sterling can.
I'm bringing the hat back for you.
You got the Monster Big 12 hat there?
It just says Monster. Doesn't say Big 12. It's a big green M. I'm gonna bring the hat back for you.
Big green M. Yeah,
Electric.
do that, Sterling. That's yours, brother.
Electric.
And then we can put an HOL right before and then an ES right after.
I love it. Yeah, this is just smart math.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. But hey, you know what? It's great for Monster because you've got every single team that's going to be tweeting out their social media, and it's going to be that advertising. But it's good for the Big 12 to get into that particular, because somebody's going to get there. Somebody's going to start putting the advertisements on the jersey. We watch soccer, and the entire front jersey is not the city or the team. It's the advertisement. It's the main sponsor on the front of the jersey. And having a little patch that's crypto there for KU to where they can make some money along the way, it's going to start small, little QT patch with the Royals, on the side, and it'll eventually get more and more because there's other ways of developing revenue, and especially in college when you're talking about pay for play and you're talking about the NIL and what your war chest is to go to battle with all these other teams. How do you find ways to create revenue without getting into the private equity firms to go and give a piece of revenue there? How do you make extra money? Okay, we got a little patch that we'll put there that blends in with the jersey, and and you make a little money that way. You got a little money coming in with Monster. It's just simply the way to do business.
I just got a text from Paul back in sales, Pork Chop. Gildo, and he wants the hat. So maybe I'll have to try to find another hat.
I'll give it to him.
You know what?
I'll let him have it. I'll let him have it.
No. I'm gonna find two hats and bring them back. Okay.
How about that? How nice are you, Todd? How nice are you? Oh, Michael's asking for one. I'm joking.
Dude, when you have lettuce like this, Lebo, we don't need to wear hats all the time.
You don't want to hide it. You know? You don't need a sky piece.
I'm gonna get you guys hats. Okay. I'm gonna get you guys hats.
Lebo, you're a sweetheart. By the way, Jackass kicked ass last night. Jackass absolutely slapped.
Jack kicked ass last night.
How was your date?
It was July 7th was the date yesterday, right?
Yeah, what are you talking about, Lebo?
On Jackass?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about you didn't go watch Jackass by yourself, and I know Hamburglar didn't go with you.
Was Hamburglar with you?
It was lovely, Lebo. How about that?
It's cool.
Oh, there we go.
Did you go on a date last night, Lebo, to some barbecue?
No, we ended up eating I had a burger. I think Stan might have had a steak, and Jackson and Pat from Wichita, they had steaks too, I think. We were going to go to a place that looked very interesting, but then they were all full. We didn't go. So, anyways, hey, listen, I did a good job by Chad, though. We had got some drinks for us. My buddy who works at the Peach Bowl, he bought our drinks at the bar afterwards. So
nice.
Come on.
I'm
out here
working
do. Deals, bro.
That'll do. By the way, I imagine Stan eating steak 3 meals a day. For some reason.
Oh, that's what he did. I told Jackson and Pat, here's the deal. We can't pick a place that serves chicken because Stan won't go. I told him, we're going to this place and they got chicken. Man. He goes, I'll watch you guys eat. I said, okay.
He is a steak man, if there is ever a steak. He's the one that shows up when they have steak and eggs on the menu for different breakfast restaurants. It's for guys like Stan.
Exactly right.
There you go.
No matter what. No matter what.
Todd, thank you, sir. Great work. Safe travels back, bud.
All right, see you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. There's Todd Lebo down in Dallas. Big 12 Media Days brought to you by Kansas Lottery, Next Gen Beef, and Plaza Aesthetics and Wellness. We'll take a timeout. Come back. More Zone next. Thank you to Todd Lebo there in Dallas. Big 12 Media Days, again, brought to you by our coverage, Kansas Lottery, Next Gen Beef, and Plaza Aesthetics and Wellness. Heard from Lance Leipold and Colin Klein there. Both talking about the quarterback situation, vastly different situations for both teams. And the odd part is that you would want the schedules flipped for the two quarterback situations. If you've got the senior on your team, you'd take the Long Island, then Mizzou, then you got to go to England. If you've got the two guys that are battling it out and not much experience, you'd take the three, Nicholls State, Washington State, Tulane at home. But that's not the case. You got the senior with the first-year coach doing that, and you got the two quarterbacks battling it out early.
Sports Radio 810 Sports Center.
This Sports Center update is brought to you by KC Deck. Summer's the perfect time to build your deck, and at Deck's Docks, we urge you to deck it right the first time with Fiber-On decking. Fiber-On means low maintenance, long-lasting beauty with the rich look of real wood without the upkeep. Visit DecksDocks.com to find your closest location. That's DecksDocks.com. A phenomenal comeback in the FIFA World Cup round of 16 yesterday as Argentina down 2-0 makes a dramatic comeback. They end up winning in stoppage time 3-2. Switzerland and Colombia could not get it figured out. After 120 minutes, it went all the way to PKs. The Swiss ended up winning. It was 0-0 until the Swiss went 4 for 5 in PKs. For the Royals, Jack Caglione gets the nod for the home run derby, while Tyler Tolbert ties a Major League Baseball record with hits in 12 straight plate appearances. This is SportsCenter.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up an hour from now. Right now, let's talk some soccer, some World Cup. As we know who the teams will be on Saturday here in Kansas City, it will be Argentina and Switzerland, with the possibility that we thought maybe Messi and Ronaldo. Colombia beats Portugal, so then it's going to be Argentina versus Colombia and massive rivals. And instead, the Swiss go and knock off Colombia. Daniel Sperry, our guest from the Kansas City Star. We'll get into the U.S. men's national team performance and the World Cup, but I'm just curious, Daniel, what are the odds you would have put on Argentina-Switzerland for the matchup on Saturday a week ago?
Honestly, I think a week ago, I kind of had an inkling it might happen. I don't know. I unfortunately don't have great like something that I can point back to that specifically says it. But this Switzerland team has been one that's kind of really impressed me throughout the tournament, even beforehand. And they've been really dynamic. They've been really structured when they don't have the ball. They've found ways to create plenty of chances. And I thought that once we saw the way it lined up with not Portugal, but Colombia being in it. Colombia, a little bit disorganized at times and as fun and fluid as they can be. I just thought it wasn't a great matchup for them, and not surprised it went to penalty kicks. This Switzerland team's good. It's a good soccer matchup. Is it the one with all the fun storylines on the outside of it that we'd hoped for? No, and I'm sure those who were trying to sell their tickets for this game on Second Market are sad that it's not the one that would have made them the most money, but this is still a very good soccer matchup with a Switzerland side that has been really good over the last 2 months, I think.
Yeah, and when's the next time you're going to watch a World Cup match in Kansas City? Saturday, and then who knows? 20 years? No idea what will be the case with that. Maybe, hopefully. Daniel Sperry, Kansas City Star, is our guest. Okay, let's put a bow on what took place on Monday night there in Seattle. And really, I think most people agree on how disappointing the performance was from the U.S. Is there anything particular maybe that stood out that surprised you more of whether how they came out or tactically or not ready for the moment or individually? Was there anything that you're like, you know what, people have talked about this, but this is the one that sort of still bothers me a couple days later?
Yeah, I think it's just how they came out. It felt like they weren't ready for the light, which is so weird because, the Bosnia game, it felt like they were ready to leave it all on the table, and you have a setup where you go down into a red card that's probably unjust, and then you bunker and rally, and you get the second goal to make it 2-0, and that, in my head, shows me that there's a great mentality and mental intestinal fortitude with this team that maybe hadn't existed. And then 5 days later, they go out and lay an absolute egg. I just felt like they were tentative the whole way through. They were not ready for the bright lights against a good team, which means you can't be tentative in the way that they were. You can't be reactionary to everything. It felt like they were playing the game in quicksand in a way because they were playing in a way that was reactionary to everything that Belgium was doing, reactionary to where the ball bounced, and they did not win second balls in soccer, being able to win the second ball. So let's say there's a 50-50 challenge in the air or a 50-50 challenge on the ground. What happens when the ball gets away from those two players? Do you pick that up? Do you pick up the loose balls and stuff like that? And that was something that the U.S. just did not do. They weren't in the right position to do. There wasn't the right effort to do. And it's kind of bringing me back to the fact that this team has not played a high-level team in a competitive match. They've played one time. They played Uruguay here in Kansas City in 2024 in the final round of the group stage of the Copa America, and they lost, and they were eliminated, and Greg Berhalter got fired. And since that point, there hasn't been any game like that where this group, the top group, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, all the guys were in, Fuller and Balogun. They had an opportunity for that last summer with the Gold Cup, and Pulisic sat out and rested. A few other players weren't called in, and it was very much a mixture of second choice and fringe players in the player pool, and not the top choice guys in Europe after a really long European season. And so I kind of look at that, and even outside of that Uruguay game, the next game you could point to at that was the game that eliminated them from the 2022 World Cup 4 years ago. They didn't have to go through World Cup qualifying. They didn't have to deal with struggling on the road at Azteca, struggling on the road in the difficulties of El Salvador or Honduras or Panama. Those are tough places to go. Costa Rica too. Those are tough places to go and play that kind of build you up along the way to a World Cup. That kind of let you get ready for that moment when the lights are bright. And they just haven't had enough of those moments over the last few years, and it felt like they shrunk the very first time that they did. And it's just that, I think that's the biggest disappointment for me, is that they just, they just didn't show up. And it wasn't like, one or two guys. I think there was probably 6 or 7 guys on that team sheet from the starting 11 that you could say just didn't show up. And that just hurts the most, I think.
And the way that I would describe it is without the specific soccer vernacular, when I've watched the U.S. in the past, but this tournament specifically in the first 4 games that they played, and then against Belgium, it was, when they would receive a pass or the pace on a pass, especially receiving a pass, it just felt like the ball was a magnet to the foot, right? It would be delicate. It would be soft. This one, it felt like it would hit a foot and just bounce right off, like a basketball against a wall. There just wasn't, and the pacing on some of the passes were either slow or too hard, or they weren't on the same page. And so, to me, it's just like, I don't know if that's the mind in the game. You don't show up, you're overwhelmed by the moment. Indecisive part of it, especially that first goal when you've got 3 guys there and they all just sort of look around and let the other guy get it, which was then a goal. And I wonder, too, Daniel Sperry's our guest from the Star. I brought this up as a theory, not as an excuse, and it could be just one piece of the overall bigger puzzle, but I compared it to LeBron when he went from Cleveland to Miami, and he didn't expect to be hated when he did the decision and decided to take his talents to South Beach. And everybody hated him, and he spent that year trying to be the villain, playing into the fine, I'll be the villain. And he sucked. He wasn't, comparatively speaking, he wasn't LeBron. Then he got into the, I don't care. I'm just going to be me, and he got back into playing basketball as LeBron. I bring that up in comparison. I wonder, in a matter of 48 hours, when the U.S. went from this lovable, attacking, fun team to watch that other countries were like, I kind of like the way that U.S. is playing. Tourists are coming into the States and going, look, it's nothing like we thought it was. We're loving the American people. We're finding ourselves rooting for the U.S. to then becoming the villains of the World Cup and hated, and the world then rooting against them. I do wonder how much that changes the mindset that they come out and they have people in their own country that have admitted that they're going to root for Belgium because of how the whole thing went down. If it just sort of changes the tenor and the confidence and the feeling around the team when everything's feeling good, and then the whole vibe changes.
Yeah, I certainly think that's a part of it, and I think even you could tell that was in the mind of the players a bit too. They're not, they're on social media. They see the stuff that gets said. They see and hear the back and forth and the discourse. They're also caught in the middle of Belgium and FIFA making noise up until about the kickoff about it, back and forth with statement here, statement there, appeal here, appeal there, and there's so much kind of up in the air about it. I can't imagine that it didn't have an effect on it. You saw Fuller and Balogun go over to the coach after the game immediately to talk to of Belgium, Rudy Garcia, go to talk to him about everything after the game, and the Belgium coach said a few nice words about it, but unfortunately, Balogun has every single article about the whole thing that happened was with Balogun's face on it, and he became the face of this thing, which is so incredibly unfair to him because the whole way he's been class. He said he accepted it. He said he didn't want to get upset on the field, even though he disagreed with it, because he wanted to set a good example for the kids watching. He's done and said all the right things along the way, and very much is a stand-up guy, and he's the face of that all of a sudden. And I can't imagine that other players didn't feel that too. And then you take it too from just the decision aspect of it. How much for the last 3-4 days had they been preparing to do something with probably Ricardo Pepi, who is a very different player than Balogun is, and requires different things and different plays and different service. And now it shouldn't be that hard to revert back to what you've been doing for the other games. But at the same time, there's so much of it's okay, our backs are against the wall, everybody's against us, and you go into this, and then all of a sudden there's this letdown. And you're like, okay, we do have this guy. Well, now we're kind of expected to win. And now everyone's mad at us. There's no way that it didn't play any part into the psyche about what happened in the field.
Daniel Sperry is our guest. There's been a lot of talk and criticism of Christian Pulisic since that game. Is it, in your mind, is it warranted? Is some of the criticism there to Pulisic of, how he handles the moment or taking himself out of the game? Landon Donovan saying that you would have to, drag me off the pitch to come out of a World Cup game. Is it warranted, the criticism that's been there for Christian Pulisic after this World Cup run?
I think so. But I think so more from a performance standpoint. I don't know that I would ever say that he doesn't care. And I think the people who have gone to those lengths, maybe, and if I have, I probably shouldn't have. I think that's unfair to say because I do think he really does care. But some guys have the, how do I say, the it factor. When the lights shine brightest, they show up. They don't ever shy away from it. And Pulisic has just never really been the guy that has stepped up when the lights are brightest. And that goes back to even when he really emerged onto the scene at 21, 22 years old. He's 27 years old now, and for 2 World Cup cycles, he has not that he hasn't been good, at least outside of the World Cup. He has not been great at all in the World Cup. And I think that's the criticism of Pulisic that I think is fair to bring out. And I just don't know that he's shown us that, everybody wanted to very quickly anoint him as we saw the silly jokes of the LeBron James of soccer or whatever all that came out with from some weird Pawn Stars episode of somebody trying to pawn off his jersey. He's not – we wanted to anoint him very quickly, and I think we did this in the past with guys like Freddie Adu, and we want to anoint him quickly, and it kind of turns out that there's just so many layers to the development into being that kind of a player that involves the mental side of it, and some people just don't have that mental makeup. And I think Pulisic has not really proven to us that he has that kind of mental makeup. Doesn't make him a bad player, but I think it's one of those where I think at times this generation of the players has been kind of handed things a little bit more so than in the past. And I'd like to see them kind of go up and earn it. In terms of their positioning within the team, how many times they're getting called in, do they have a guaranteed spot? I would like to see a little bit more pressure put on them. And I think it's just I think some of the criticism goes too far, but I think a lot of it is fair. Especially in the sense of, Pulisic has maybe had 45 good minutes of soccer through 2 World Cup campaigns. That's pretty much
crazy.
a fact.
Yeah.
That first half against Paraguay was about as good as he's ever been in a World Cup, and we haven't seen it. We never saw it before. We hadn't seen it since. You see flashes of it, but there's never the game of. We saw Pulisic take over a game against Senegal in a friendly, and absolutely dominated a 30, 45-minute stretch that he was on the field, and now he pulled off because Pochettino wanted to do different things and to get different looks in that game, and so that's fine. But we don't see it any longer than that in a World Cup game, and in the games that really count. And I think that's the criticism of him that's fair, is that I think he has 2 assists and a goal in, I think, 6, 7 World Cup games now. I want more, and I think it's fair for a lot of us to ask for more.
Daniel Sperry is our guest from the Kansas City Star. When people talk about Pulisic, it seems to start with the qualifier of, well, your best player can't be doing this. Well, he's the best player. And I watched the matches, and to your point, like, he's anointed and Captain America and all these things, and I watch and I don't see the best player on the field being Christian Pulisic. Is he their best player and he's just not playing to that standard, or the standard is too high by calling him the best player because he's actually not on this team?
I think it's different. Soccer is so different, too, in the sense that, like, the most talented players don't always end up in the stat sheets, I think. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this. He is easily the most talented and technically gifted player on that team. That is without a doubt, in my opinion. But in terms of putting it all together into a regular performance, I don't know. And I think that's the part where everyone looks at it. In what he can do and the ability that he possesses, he is the best player on the team. But we don't see it regularly. And I think it's okay if he is a goal and an assist and not 2 or 3 goals every game. That to me is like the kind of the role that he does, and the play that he can bring is that the facilitator kind of thing. He's not always going to be scoring, but he's probably going to be scoring as much as he does make the final pass and the assist. Where a guy like Balogun gets a lot of the goals, and everyone says naturally he's the best player because he scores the goals. And I think it's a difficult one because he is so supremely talented and so gifted with what he can do. The way he does see the game, the positions he can get himself in, and the passes and the shots he can pull off. He's got a wide array of things and isn't very much a one-trick pony, and can do it all at an elite level. We see it for clubs, and that's the hard part. Is you see it when he played for AC Milan. You saw it when he would play for Chelsea. You saw it all come together more often than not. And I think the inverse has been true with the national team, is that we have not seen it all come together in the way that we do with the club. And I think that's where people say he is our best player, he's our most talented player, most gifted player, but we just don't see it with the national team. And I think that's part of where all the criticism comes from, especially.
Daniel Sperry is our guest. Who would you go with? Would it be Pulisic if you say, you know what, people say their best player? It doesn't have to be the best, scorer or anything, but who would you say is, no, actually the best player on the United States men's national team is just as a soccer player is this guy? Yeah.
I think it's Pulisic still, and just the ability that he possesses. And I won't discredit that. I just think he is the best player in that sense. But a guy like Malik Tillman has had a phenomenal World Cup. The 2 free kick goals, the assist, he has played, some of the passes that he has played into Balogun or to others have been phenomenal. And the dribbles, the vision, he's younger, he's 24. He'll be 28 at the next World Cup. He made a pretty big move in Germany last year. And I think is kind of in a spot now with the coach there that is using him in a way that really suits his game. And I could see him kind of on the ascendancy that maybe by the next time we're talking at a World Cup, we're talking about a Balogun and a Tillman who are 28 and 29 are the talking points and the leaders of that team in the attack. And that I think those are kind of guys that could potentially overtake Pulisic, but I still think for now Pulisic is the guy that I think is just the best player that they've got, period.
Daniel Sperry is our guest from the Kansas City Star. One of the things that we've seen that's sort of separated, and by the way, just overall soccer player, like when I watch England against Mexico, like Harry Kane, gets the love, and he's not the only one, but even without the goals, like the best player on the field was Jude Bellingham. I'm like, he was unfreaking real that game. And I'm like, okay, that's just a soccer player. Like, he'll defend. He got a hat trick because he scored 2 and stopped 1. Like, that would count. Right. Like, he's all over the field and passing and receiving and defending and scoring. Like, that was just a phenomenal soccer game for him. But you see, like, okay, that guy's just talented. Like, he's just everywhere on the field. And I don't know that the U.S., obviously, Bellingham's an amazing player, if they, would have somebody like that anytime soon. But the last one for you, people are certainly frustrated and laughing and embarrassed by Matt Freese and the rough play of kicking the ground and then Tim Ream not able to spin and stop it. To me, it's sort of a bigger conversation that might be had. We were at the Super Bowl earlier this year, and Casey Keller was there at the Super Bowl. And so, sitting down and talking with him, one of the things that I wanted to pick his brain about was, hey, what happened to this era of American goalkeepers, and why have we not seen that? And do we have somebody waiting in the wings? And his point was, he said he thought it was more just coincidental, that it just happened to be that there were, Americans that were starting for a quarter of the Premier League were American goalkeepers. And, we've gone from Miola to Friedel to Casey Keller to Tim Howard in back-to-back World Cups. And then we've seen Matt Turner, we've seen Matt Freese. And I think that's such a difference maker. It's not the quarterback on the field for like a college football team, but man, we saw what Tim Howard can do when he plays like that, and we see what Friedel can do, or Keller, when they make a run and they make the quarterfinals after beating Mexico and only give up a goal, and how good that team was in defending. Is that an area that if the U.S. wants to break through that ceiling, that they've got to find somebody that can be at that level? And was it coincidental that group was sort of around each other at the time, or was there something different of developing American goalkeepers at that time that we're just not tapping into anymore?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I look at, and that the American goalkeeper in that area, you talk about them all going overseas. Everybody went overseas to test themselves. And I think the Americans have done that. Like a Matt Turner did that. He didn't really. He was a backup at Arsenal. He went to play on loan at Crystal Palace. He was on loan at Nottingham Forest, and then now he's back in MLS. And I think the big thing for goalkeepers is always to be in search of playing time and reps.
Yeah.
But I also think it matters where you're getting your reps too. And not that MLS is bad, because I don't want to knock on this and make this this is an MLS problem, because the MLS puts goalkeepers into Europe for high amounts of money every single year. So there is high-quality goalkeepers of young American ascent, like Chris Brady, who was the third-string goalkeeper for the U.S. He is, I think he's like 23, 22 maybe, very young goalkeeper, maybe even younger. And he will eventually be in Europe, and he is the guy that should be doing whatever he can to continue to get reps in Europe, right?
Yeah.
And test themselves against the best. And they've got a couple of other ones that are younger, but the goalkeeper position is also one that takes a long time to develop. And none of our current goalkeepers were in the same goalkeeper room. As you said, talk about them all being around together.
Yeah.
Friedel, Howard, Keller, Miola, all those guys shared goalkeeper rooms and overlapped with each other. And because we didn't really have, outside of like Tim Howard was still somewhat involved in 2018 when they failed to make the World Cup, and they did. None of the guys that are now the goalkeepers, the better American goalkeepers of that generation, ever really shared a goalkeeper room with them and ever worked with them day to day and went through the same thing where they're pushing each other and kind of egging the other one on to take another step. And I think it's important that in the future, for that room, that they find a way to do that, to create that internal competition, whether that be you're all playing for different clubs and everyone's kind of taking this step up. You know, Tim Howard went to Manchester United, wasn't getting playing, and was gutsy enough to tell Sir Alex Ferguson, of all people, that he needed to play. They had brought in Edwin van der Sar, and Howard famously goes to Everton. Well, he makes a stay at Everton and gets his reps and stays wherever he can. And I think it's really important that this generation of goalkeeper and the next one kind of finds a way to do that, and to continue to take steps forward, because I think you are correct in that it is a position that will separate and help separate teams from the round of 16 to the quarterfinals. If I look at every goalkeeper for every single team in the quarterfinals, I can't find one that is not a elite goalkeeper in the league that they play in a league that is significant. Every single goalkeeper, I think, remaining is a top 5 goalkeeper in a league that they currently play in, and that to me kind of says enough about where they're at. And I think the U.S. is a little bit far behind there. I feel for Freese, because I actually felt like he had a good tournament. That moment is going to stick in people's minds forever for him, and he's a good goalkeeper, and he's young enough that he might even have another World Cup with him if he continues to grow and not let that moment kind of define him. But it's a tough moment, and right now, I think that was probably the biggest weak spot on that U.S. men's national team roster, was the goalkeeper spot, and it unfortunately showed up in that spot. But equally, when you look at everyone else that's still in the tournament who's kicking, those are the best, the cream of the crop when it comes to that position.
Yeah, there's probably a different world that is going on in an alternate universe where we're talking about Freese and the amazing save that he made early on that set the tone, and the U.S. got back in it, and they weren't down 1-0 early, and what a great World Cup run he's had. But that, unfortunately, is not the case. Quickly, who do you have winning it now that we know the 8 remaining?
Oh, boy. I think France has stuck out to me, but there's still a couple of teams with the way Norway's played, and it's so difficult to stop Erling Haaland. They have surprised me and impressed me in all facets of it. England, of all places, is showing a strong mentality, which I think has always been the credit, like the knock on them, is that they haven't had it. To go and pull off that win at the Azteca in the way that they did was monumental, and showed amazing mental fortitude that I did not expect from them, to be honest. So I feel like the picture has gotten a little cloudy. Spain is not allowing a goal. They haven't allowed a goal in like 600 minutes. So I don't know. I'm still going to stick with France just because I think their talent trumps all, but it's going to be a really interesting next couple rounds of games.
No, I'm pumped for it, man. I'm very excited. Daniel, appreciate the time, brother. As always, great stuff, and enjoy the final 8 as we see who will be crowned on July 19th. We're 11 days away, unfortunately, for this thing being over. Just a couple days away from the final World Cup here in Kansas City. It's gone too fast. Daniel, thank you for the time, man. I appreciate it, brother.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. There's Daniel Sperry, Kansas City Star. Great stuff. Love talking with him. And, we'll see, moving forward about this overall group of players. And, I remember Jake after the Turkey game and Tim Howard after the Turkey game, who I put on the same level of goalkeeping, right? Tim Howard's one of the best goalkeepers I've seen in my lifetime with the U.S. men's national team, but also there's Casey Keller and obviously Miola from the local connection. And best goalkeeper that I've interacted with here at Sports Radio 810 is Jake. So same levels of greatness. They were both frustrated with Pochettino's decision to sit Freese against Turkey because they had already made the round of 32, and they knew when they were playing – and they couldn't affect their standings at all, and played Matt Turner. And the point that Jake and Tim Howard made was Matt Freese is still green. He needs all the minutes he can. He needs as many minutes in World Cup action as possible, because you don't want him to be put in a situation where you got to make a split-second decision and you make a mistake. So every minute that he's out there counts, and you wasted 90 minutes of what could have been Freese getting more experience. I don't think it's A leads immediately to B or correlation causation, but we are talking about one of the bigger mistakes by a guy who's, quote, inexperienced in the World Cup. And in the 4 games that they played, before that one, the manager decided to sit him for one and not play him and play a guy who played every game in 2022 in the World Cup, has more experience as your starting goalkeeper in Matt Turner. Freese is the inexperienced one, and you then put Turner in against Turkey. Jake called it right away. Tim Howard was pissed off about it as well, and both of them have weighed in since. And Tim Howard in his podcast yesterday was like, I mean, you can't sit the guy. He doesn't have the experience. The only way to get World Cup experience is to be out there, and you took 90 minutes away from him. You took that away from him and gave it to somebody who already had World Cup experience in Matt Turner.
I do wonder how we view Pochettino moving forward, because he was riding high.
Yeah.
And then this game happened, and it felt like, again, not all his fault. I mean, obviously the players had to go out and play and perform, but they came out slow. Was that a strategy of Pochettino?
Yeah.
The sitting of Freese against Turkey. There are obviously things you can question, but also you'd say Tillman with the free kick, choosing him over Balogun, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
he made the Dest substitution early.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't wait around and well, maybe he'll get it going. Let's hope. It was like, no, it's get him out. Get him out, and let's change things here. I wonder what the viewpoint, because it was so high the first few games, and then after this one, it feels like a lot of It's interesting, and we'll take a break. I want to talk some football with the Chiefs, but it's interesting. Daniel brought up when talking about once that decision was made on Monday with Balogun, and he said, you had a few days where you're in training and practice and preparing tactically for Pepe. Now it's easier to revert back rather than on Sunday, Balogun is told you can't play.
Sure.
When it was like, no, you're fine, you're going to play. And then the NBA upgrades it to a flagrant 2, and then you have to sit a game or whatever. Hey, we upgraded that to a red, and so now you're out for this game. Well, hold on. Now we got 1 day to prepare. Easier to go back. But from that point forward, Balogun was not going to play, so your tactics were different with with Pepe instead of Balogun. So does that impact it? I don't know. Maybe. But either way, it didn't impact it to the tune of just getting beat down for 90 minutes. That was it was embarrassing, and it turned out to be a disappointing World Cup in a lot of minds of the U.S. It was the most watched United States soccer match in the history, and that's the performance they put on. That's how they went out there and played in the most watched soccer match in U.S. history. That's a tough one to come back from. And it's a disappointing run. Even if they'd had lost, like, again, who was it? Darn it.
Was it Zlatan?
No, it wasn't Zlatan. But I quoted him the other day, and he said,
I remember if they would have lost like 3-2.
De Bruyne comes on, and you just can't. It's a world-class player that made a play, and there's nothing to hold your head down about. Like, if that was the case, it'd be like, they were there.
Sure.
And Belgium's a really good team, and, you lost. It was getting beat down. And it's also the last 2 World Cups in the round of 16, losing by a combined 7-2.
Yeah, not great.
3-1 and 4-1. That's pretty rough. Let's talk some Chiefs football on the other side of the break. We get into the rankings. Jeremy Fowler and the folks over at ESPN have their rankings of individual positions, top 10, honorable mention, also receiving votes. We take a look at the cornerbacks because the Chiefs traded up and got Mansour Delane. What should the expectations be if we look historically over the last 4 or 5 years of where the cornerbacks drafted in the top 10 show up and how quickly they show up in those rankings? We'll do that next. Thank you to Daniel Sperry, Kansas City Star, talking some U.S. men's national team and the loss, unfortunately, but also this World Cup. An off day today, but then we'll get into the 4 games Thursday, Friday, and then 2 on Saturday. I was thinking, like, well, no, they don't play Sunday, so how therefore there's 2 on Saturday? Yeah. The final one of the round of 8 here in Kansas City. So we'll find out. There will be 3 teams waiting for the winner of Argentina and Switzerland in the Final 4, in the semifinals for the World Cup. So I talked about when we went to break, looking at the NFL execs and coaches that Jeremy Fowler put out, the rankings of all these different positions. And on Monday, they did the running backs. Yesterday, they did cornerbacks. Today, they did edge rushers. But I want to look at the cornerbacks specifically because we discussed it briefly yesterday in that McDuffie came in ranked number 5. And if you go through the top 10, number 1 is Pat Surtain, shocker. Number 2, Derek Stingley. Number 3, Christian Gonzalez. Number 4, Devin Witherspoon from Seattle. Number 5, Trent McDuffie. Number 6, Quinyon Mitchell. Number 7, Denzel Ward. Number 8, J.C. Horn. Number 9, Sauce Gardner. And number 10, Cooper DeJean with the Eagles. There's also the honorable mentions and then the also receiving votes. So we look at it and we say, okay, McDuffie's number 5. You made the trade, but then you also moved up to get Mansour Delane at number 6. And so the question was like, okay, so what are the requirements then? Does he have to be in the top 10 or honorable mention or also receiving votes next year to justify taking him at number 6 overall and being that big of a gap in the cornerbacks, that he's that good that you traded up to get him, and then there was only one more the rest of the first round, and it was a decent gap between Delane and the next guy. My initial thought, Sterling, and Michael, you can weigh in too, my initial thought is like, yeah, Mansour Delane needs to be ranked here in the top 10. But then also
by next year,
next year, I'm talking about going in. You've got your rookie year, and then you're ranked. And then I look back at like, okay, McDuffie, his second year, so the rankings that came out after his rookie year, he was in the also receiving votes category. Since then, he has been ranked 6th, 4th, and now 5th for the Rams, but 6th, 4th, and 5th after the also receiving votes. So that's the Chiefs' first rounder, showed up the next year, not in the top 10, but also receiving votes. I would say at minimum, he would have to show up in top 10, honorable mention, or also receiving votes. Like, he needs a vote in the top 10 because the execs and coaches voted for their top 10. And then you take all of the numbers together, you add them all up, and then you come and average it out, and here's your top 10, here's your honorable mentions, and then here's the also receiving votes. McDuffie got a vote after his rookie year to be ranked in the top 10 of cornerbacks, also receiving votes. I think that's the bare minimum for Mansour Delane. I'd actually like to see it a little bit higher. I'd like to see if it be an honorable mention or maybe even ranked in the top 10. Then it would say that they got it right if he's in that category.
I think by year 3. I think even going into next year with that is a little bullish. I don't argue that we hope it's that, obviously. But like guys like Jalen Johnson would not have been after his rookie season. Probably A.J. Terrell wouldn't have been there after his rookie season.
He wasn't. He wasn't ranked or also receiving votes or honorable mention after his rookie year.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean wasn't, and I love Cooper. You know my thoughts on him as a slot guy, but he is this year. Sauce Gardner would have been. J.C. Horn may have been. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was going into his second year, even as a rookie. Denzel Ward, yeah. Quinyon Mitchell, probably not. No, he was ranked 9 last year. Okay,
good call.
So he was.
Well, he was. Well, and he's 6th this year, right?
Yeah. Christian Gonzalez is an interesting one because I loved him coming out of college, and I feels like him going to New England, his first year with Bill Belichick, it just was a massive fit. He obviously got injured, but then last year he's on the list. he's been a weird one where I feel like, at least for me, finally people are realizing how good Christian Gonzalez is. So I don't know. I feel like he was kind of an under the radar guy, maybe nationally or to the average fan, because he plays almost like McDuffie, where he's not this super Sauce Gardner's in your face. This person like Christian Gonzalez, is like, I'm gonna do my work. I'm just gonna go there, do it, and get it done. And finally, the Patriots were good last year, kind of like McDuffie. If he would have played for a bad team, they wouldn't have had probably the same favor he gets in some of these rankings. I think long way of saying it is, I don't think next year he has to be in the top 10. I think probably a honorable mention or at least a vote getter is where I'd say he needs to be as a vote getter. But by year 3, I think year 3 he should be in that Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, that sort of 7 to 10 range where you're cracking that top 10 list.
After his rookie season, I think bare minimum he needs to be getting votes. So like top 15, fringe top 10. I think it's fair to say that if he's not a Cooper DeJean type player his rookie year, you're going to be a little disappointed. And that's not demeaning Cooper DeJean. I think he's a very good corner, but you didn't draft Mansour Delane at 6 for him to be Cooper DeJean. And I don't think
style players, though. I will say different style.
Different style, but at the same time, you use the 6th overall draft pick on a highly versatile cornerback that can play on the outside, can play in the slot. He's mainly going to be a boundary corner. But with that being said, I think the expectation level his rookie year, and this might be lofty and unfair, I think he can be a J.C. Horn level player year 1. I don't think that is out of the stratosphere of possibility. Now, if you're saying that he's going to be Trent McDuffie or even Pat Surtain right away, I would not say that. I think he could eventually grow into that, but is it too high to say that he could be J.C. Horn year 1?
Yeah, I think so. And here's one of the things that I wanted to bring up too, because I went back and looked at top 10 versus overall first round. Okay. The top 10, and I went back to 2021. So the 2021 draft, and in the top 10 players that were drafted as cornerbacks, there have been 5 cornerbacks drafted since 2021 in the top 10. That is J.C. Horn, Pat Surtain, Derek Stingley, Sauce Gardner, and Devon Weatherspoon. The other cornerbacks drafted have been outside of the top 10. So those are 5 players that have been drafted. To be ranked after your rookie year, 3 of the 5 were ranked after their rookie year in the top 10.
You'll get a boost, too, I think, just based on
not just honorable mention or also receiving votes. 3 of the 5 were ranked in the top 10. 4 of the 5 got even a vote or honorable mention. Only 1 of the 5, oddly enough, did not show up at all.
And how far does this go back to?
This goes back to the 2021 drafts of the 2022 rankings.
Okay, so then it wouldn't be Jeff Okudah. He'd been before that.
Yeah, that was the year before.
Prior.
2020 was odd because of the COVID, and they're going to have the draft, but it's not there, and then everything is... I give some GMs a pass on the 2020 draft because everything got messed up pretty quickly into the draft season. So I started at 2021. Derek Stingley's the one that didn't show up after his rookie year. And then all he did after that for Stingley was go not even receiving votes, and then 10th, second.
Yeah,
he's clearly shown to be that guy.
That's kind of what I said year 3, though, too.
So all 5 of them showed up in their rookie year. All 5 of them showed up in minimum second year. But if you look at the number of years they could have shown up, so like Derek Stingley, there's 4 years of rankings. So Derek Stingley's 3 out of 4, right? Sauce Gardner, 4 years of rankings. Witherspoon, 3 years of rankings. Surtain, 5 years of rankings. J.C. Horn, 5 years of rankings. There are 21 times that they had opportunities of those 5 players to be ranked in the top 10. 17 out of the 21 times they were ranked in the top 10.
Wow.
Not just also receiving votes and honorable mention. That's top 10 draft picks. 17 out of the 21 times over the years that they've had an opportunity to be ranked in the top 10, they were ranked in the top 10. That's now the group that Mansour Delane is in with being a top 10 pick, because he's the first top 10 pick since 2023. because 24 not a top 10 cornerback, 2025 no top 10 cornerback. So it's been a couple of years. Now, if you look at non-top 10 players, there are 13 non-top 10 player cornerbacks that were drafted. Only 4 of those 13 have ever showed up in the top 10 or honorable mention or also receiving votes. McDuffie was one of them. Only 4 of those 13 other players drafted in the first round ever received votes in their time, which means there was an opportunity of 40 total times for those non-top 10 cornerbacks to be ranked in the top 10, honorable mention, or also receiving, or in the top 10, just in the top 10. 13 times out of the 40 was somebody ranked in the top 10. That was not a top 10 pick. So there's a clear difference between being a top 10 cornerback and being a first rounder. First round cornerback, kind of a crapshoot on whether or not you're going to have a top 10 cornerback in the league. Odds are no, because it's 4 out of 13.
Yeah.
If you're drafted in the top 10, there's an expectation that you have to be in the top 10 now.
Be a dude.
So I went in saying, at least also receiving votes, honorable mention. I don't think you have to be in the top 10. But then you look at it and Pat Surtain was in the top 10, Sauce Gardner top 10, Witherspoon top 10, J.C. Horn also receiving votes, and then Stingley wasn't. But then by year 2, they were all ranked, all of them, and they've been ranked since then. But if you look at the 13 cornerbacks taken outside the top 10 in the first round going back to 2021, only McDuffie, Christian Gonzalez, Nate Wiggins, and Quinyon Mitchell have even received votes to be listed in the top 10 of the rankings. That means Caleb Farley, Newsome, Stokes, Kyer Elam, Forbes, Banks, Terrion Arnold, Jahdae Barron, and Maxwell Hairston of a year ago.
Yeah.
And Terrion Arnold showed up as inmate 075248. That's where he was ranked.
He may have been ranked if heading into this year.
Maybe.
That's a tough one. He may have been ranked
with his ranking.
I'm not sure. Yes, was the mugshot there with his ranking? I don't know. But I think that does change my thought process a little bit. Does it? Because I went in saying here's what I think, and then went and looked at that. Does it change your thought process at all when you hear those drafted in the top 10? 17 out of the 21 times they've had a chance to be ranked in the top 10, they've been ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, not quite that drastic yet. I don't want to. It's a sample size. It's not 2 years. There's enough of a sample size to I think start to see some patterns. I think
it's
a lot
5 years of drafts.
I think a lot of those guys year 3 is where McDuffie. I'm surprised he even got votes his first year because he was injured. I mean he looked good, but he was injured. I think for me, heading into year 3, right? So after 2 years, if he can get on the honorable mention list this upcoming season or getting votes, I'd be happy. Now, if you're top, now I think by year 3, you need to be top 10. I think maybe I'm just a little more lenient when it comes to time frame.
I don't really think it changes anything for me, but I already have the preconceived notion that looking at the pedigree of those top 10 corners of the last 5 years, if you're not Jeff Okudah, you're a really good player. So it kind of reinforces that narrative and almost makes me feel better about the pick. But if he's a fringe top 10 guy his rookie year, or maybe he's not getting votes, but you can very clearly see, okay, he's got the potential to continue growing. I don't think we're going to be complaining about the pick. But to Sterling's point, if year 2 or 3 he's not getting votes, let alone in the top 10, that would be a concern.
Yeah, year 3 of those 5 players, year 3, now this isn't all the same ranking. This is year 3 of their year 3. So Witherspoon, this is year 3 for him.
Yeah.
So the third year, the rankings of those 5 players went 1, 2, 4, 5, 7.
Yeah.
Of those 5 players.
And
by year 3,
that's where I'm
year
at.
3, they all were ranked that specific year in the top 7.
Yeah.
By year 3, if you were a top 10 pick over the last 5 years.
That's where I'm at.
So it's one of those to where you don't miss on them. Going back to the last 5 years draft, cornerback in the top 10, they're all showing up in the top 10 of this ranking even this year in 2026. More Zone coming up next.
I'm about to talk to you about different defensive backs, baby. I'm talking at FanDuel and soccer, because on the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game. Sometimes your player gets subbed off, and your bet goes with them. Oh, no, what happened? My guy who I bet on goes out in the 67th minute, and we're sitting here going, I guess my bet's over. FanDuel said, you're so silly. No, why would we do that? We want you to be in it until the final whistle. So with FanDuel Super Sub, if your player is subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. And sometimes, a lot of times, I think it's even better because that means fresh legs late in the game, and that means fresh opportunities to score. So if your dude who you put something on goes out in the 70th minute, that sub that came in for him, that is now your guy. You have him for shots on goals, assists, goals, you name it. That is now your dude. This is a way that FanDuel keeps you in it all match long. They are changing the game and changing the way that you bet on soccer. This is FanDuel's Super Sub, and it's helped me all soccer long. It's been really, really enjoyable, and it keeps me even more engaged in every game. Your next opportunity to do this will be Thursday as France takes on Morocco. So visit FanDuel.com/local to get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This sports update is brought to you by Conley Plumbing. Summer is here and trees are growing, clogging sewers with roots. Be proactive. July special for Conley Plumbing Solutions is a camera inspection of the main drain for only $129. Call 913-768-7676 or visit ConleyPlumbingSolutions.com. A phenomenal comeback in the FIFA World Cup round of 16 yesterday as Argentina down 2-0 makes a dramatic comeback. They end up winning in stoppage time 3-2. Switzerland and Colombia could not get it figured out. After 120 minutes, it went all the way to PKs. The Swiss ended up winning. It was 0-0 until the Swiss went 4 for 5 in PKs. For the Royals, Jack Caglione gets the nod for the home run derby, while Tyler Tolbert ties a Major League Baseball record with hits in 12 straight plate appearances. This is SportsCenter.
Twitter thinks he's funny.
Shame on you nerds.
His wife and kids think he's lame.
No!
We couldn't get Paul, so we're stuck with Mick.
Yep. Okay, still got it going on.
Mick Schaefer on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Schaefer, we're hanging out with him on this Wednesday. KSHB 41 Sports Director. The clapping in the back, that's from Mick. You hear it? It's a slow clap.
It's for me, and it's from me. Still counts.
How disappointed are you to see me after you've had like 2 weeks off?
I'm enlightened. I'm thrilled. It's good to see you.
I thought the answer was going to be
I saw you on socials. I saw your fits every day.
Do you like them? Yeah. The American ones are pretty good. The American ones kind of slapped.
And that's good? Slapped is good?
Slapp's good.
Yeah, they slapped a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you. The American flag pants kind of really slapped. Those.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference like open hand or backhand?
Ooh. That's a game. It's called front hand, backhand.
I know, but like, is it like
that in the frat?
Is there
Key and Peele skit?
Is there a level of slapping to like? Oh my God, that was that thing slapped. It was a backhand.
Slap. Some can smack. Something can bleep. Right. Like there's a whole bunch of different. You know what I'm talking about there.
Yep, I know what you're
like there are
talking
different ways. You know of there's different levels.
Just spell it to me.
Nope, not going to do that.
But there's different levels.
Yeah, there are levels to this.
It can be electric. It can slap.
Sure.
You know, I can rock it. I can rip it. There are different things you can. There are all levels to this.
It's a lot of ins and outs, a lot of what have yous.
Yeah.
You know.
Dude, the language of Stu is just
with the old dude.
Third person, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Henderson could do it, and he, you know.
Yeah, that I always think of you in the Ricky Henderson.
Ricky didn't nickname himself. You've nicknamed yourself,
the old Stu.
You call yourself by that nickname.
It's the summer of Stu. What can I say?
Ricky didn't have to nickname himself. Ricky's just Ricky.
That's
Ricky saying
one of my favorite things is David Cross. There's a bit of Ricky Henderson calling Ricky Henderson's voicemail or his phone and getting Ricky Henderson's voicemail, and it's just Ricky, pick up the phone. It's me, Ricky Henderson. And so
that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty good. It's just Ricky Henderson going to Ricky Henderson about Ricky Henderson.
That's a fourth wall break.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty good. So we got some Royals news today. Besides the fact that Tolbert already has 5 hits and they don't even play till tonight. That's crazy. But that is
only one for his last 2.
Well, you know,
calmer than you, dude.
I mean, here's the thing. Since he went 12 for 12, he hasn't got a hit since. So kind of a fluke, I'd say.
You know what? Calm down. This is what happens when you find a stranger
there, by the way,
in the Alps.
On 2-0?
Yeah, when the first 2 balls were at your eyeballs.
I know. Yeah, maybe. And
that was probably a little bit above the zone, too.
Yeah.
He's antsy.
There's a lot of things above the zone because we are pretty below board when it comes to us. But the news is the fact that in 5 days from now, Jack Caglione will be participating in the Home Run Derby. Cags announced on Instagram that he has accepted his invite to the Home Run Derby. So we know of 2 players, Junior Caminero and Jack Caglione. You have to be a J and a C to be able to participate, apparently, in the Home Run Derby this year. Junior Caminero, Jack Caglione.
Jesus Christ. Will probably.
JC's going to be there. Or JC.
JC will be there.
He's more national, you know what I mean? Rather than just specifically American. I mean, he was a great American.
He was.
But he would be representing more of the national, like world, you know what I mean?
Johnny Cash.
Oh,
great
he's
American.
there.
Yeah. He can knock him out.
Yep, that's that works. Yeah, as I try to rack my brain with other JCs, but yeah, or your people would call it a HOPA.
That's great.
Yes, I'm pumped about it.
I did not expect that, but they obviously look at the player and moonshots he's going to be hitting there.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. He'll hit the farthest home runs. May not win it. I wouldn't bet on him to win it. He'll have the farthest one.
I'd bet on Caminero probably to win it. That dude just...
Has he been in it before? I can
remember
last year.
Right?
Was he last year?
Yeah. Actually, he might have been in it last 2 years.
He slaps.
But, no, and I think it's only
last year. Max the baseball.
Yeah, dude.
It's only
that,
last year.
No,
yeah.
that dude...
he does. He does. Some baseballs.
I'm going to figure this out. Whatever you guys are talking about, I'm going to figure it out.
I
love
some baseballs.
Inside jokes. Love to be a part of one someday.
One day.
One day I'll be a part of that. But we know of 2, Caminero and Cags. So I think one of those 2 will win it if I'm guessing right
Ben
now.
Rice, I think, also.
He'll probably be in it.
That's all. You know what? This is how I feel about it. I am so jacked up about Jack.
I mean,
jacking up some
Schwarber,
baseballs.
is that below him now, or is he going to do it again?
He's done it before.
Yeah, Ben Rice. It's 3 players. It's Junior, Ben Rice, Jack Caglione. There's going to be 8 total, but those are the 3 we know.
Okay. Well,
4 and 4, National American.
It's odd that they broke.
That's 3 American League right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe they're announcing them just by American League and then National League.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe. But when you look at exit velocity, it's O'Neal Cruz and Jack Caglione. And last year, O'Neal Cruz was brought into the home run derby because he hit tanks and moonshots and 115 miles an hour off the bat, and he wasn't an all-star. But they just wanted it because, you know what I've learned about the home run derby? It's for entertainment. And so maybe you don't have to be, Mac McClung didn't have to be an all-star to participate in the dunk contest. Exactly. You don't have to be an all-star to participate in the home run derby. Just get the guys that hit
You don't
moonshots.
have to be a rocket scientist to be in rocket science.
Or to do brain surgery.
Or to be in radio, apparently.
What percentage of the home run derby guys are usually not all-stars?
There's only like maybe 1 or 2
out of the 8.
Out of the 8, yeah. If there is, most of them end up
Junior
as
is
all-stars.
right, and Ben Shirley is, yeah.
The one most recent that I know of was last year because it was like you got to get O'Neal Cruz in there. Well, he's not an all-star. Who cares? Put him in the home run derby, and it wasn't in Pittsburgh or anything to where they were like, oh, let's go out of our way to do this.
Hunter Goodman would do it, catcher for the Rockies. He has 27 home runs. That's like I'm trying to think of guys who would, like Schwarber might not do it.
100% Hunter Goodman would do it. I think.
Like Yordan Alvarez, I couldn't really see.
I think if you're a rookie and you get the call, like rookie, second-year player, you're like, let me do
Wood.
this.
I think James Wood did it last year.
James Wood or James Wood?
James Woods.
Wood?
He would struggle, I think.
I think James
He's just getting up there in age.
That would be rough for him.
So what was my next question? I cannot remember.
Pete Alonso's going to probably do it, knowing him.
Probably, yeah. I'm sure Schwarber.
Well, they'll interview Pete Alonso while Jack's hitting.
Did I see they changed the rule to like once you hit 0, and if you're on a home run streak, you can keep going until you make an out?
Yeah, it's swings now and not times. So
it's not time?
Yeah, last number of years have been time. So
time made it so much better.
I don't know, dude. It was tough to follow.
Switching it.
It was tough to follow because the ball would be landing and then he's swinging again.
Yeah,
but then they wouldn't
remember
show.
When they first did it, and we're like, oh my gosh, why haven't they done the timing?
Because you get tired
year?
of it, and you go, why don't we go back to outs? Well, I like the switch of every few years.
So there's no time at all?
No.
There has to be some time.
Let me look at the exact rules.
I think there's going to be some time.
The dude that just sit back and watch pitches, it would just be out. Yeah.
Okay, let me look at the new home run derby.
Let's create our own
rules.
home run derby.
Okay. So, no timer and no, quote, outs. Round 1, you get 20 swings. Round 2, 15 swings. Finals, you get 15 swings. Each swing counts towards a player's allotment, homer or not. If you homer on your last swing, as you're talking about in any round, you can keep going until you don't homer again. Because it used to be, here are your outs. You got like 10 outs, and if you hit home run, it didn't count. You can
then
keep
you got
going.
Unlimited swings.
Yes, as long as you just didn't hit an out.
Which meant you had to do the double box, the picture-in-picture, because that ball was still flying out and the pitch was coming.
Yep, and then the tiebreakers in round 1 will not be a swing off. It'll just be home run distance for round 1 tiebreakers. And
I kind of like outs.
Round 2 and 3 is a 3-swing swing off.
Because you get the Josh Hamilton situations with outs, right?
When you hit like 35 of them.
Yeah.
He just keeps hitting home run after home run.
Yeah, and guys were getting exhausted with the timer. I get it.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a reaction to that. And maybe they like it better. But I loved the timer once they instituted that. Because I feel what was that, like last 8 years or so, something like that, they've done the timer?
I just think it's been tough to follow. When
I think they should start at 0
screen.
and time up to 2.
And then have stoppage time.
And then somebody come out and do a little stoppage time. Like 30 more seconds here, okay? It'd be hilarious.
You don't even announce.
Nobody really knows
you just
when
hold,
it's over.
You just hold the board up with like an old school like electronics with the little light bulbs lit up that creates
he's still
the
actually on
time.
the attack, so we can't call it yet. He's still...
But then also when
home run doesn't count. It was offsides. The ball was still in the air from the previous one.
Well, they started then bending the rules
flopping.
then.
That kid is flopping.
Yes.
That ball didn't even hit him.
9-year-old out there.
Just falling down.
And somehow Tim Ream still couldn't stop it.
Oh, yeah. That's unfortunate.
Why is he stutter stepping before he swings the bat? Why is he...
That drives me nuts.
Dude, we did my beefs yesterday of my soccer beefs.
If the penalty kick taker can stutter step, the goalie should be allowed to move. Period.
Well, they can move. They just can't move forward. Like
They
he can
can
move
move right or left.
He can move right or left. He just can't move forward.
Not before the ball struck.
He can start heading one way or another. if he
No,
wants
you're
to.
not supposed to.
Well, we've seen you just can't come off your line and go forward.
No, you can't go right or left.
Oh, I've seen.
You can't be
lots
going
of-
right and left while the no.
lots of
You
rights or
got to be
lefts.
no. Well, as he's going, they'll allow a little bit of grace there, but
Oh,
you
okay.
can't move until the ball's. The rule is you can't move the ball struck. This is dumb.
That sounds like a
because
jackass
guys
stick.
because the goalkeepers move all the time before the ball is struck. Like
Not right or well, I mean,
yeah.
as he's going,
Yeah.
they'll dive and
'Cause
they
there
don't.
was one-
It's like the lane violation in NBA.
Yeah.
Guys are always stepping in. They don't call
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, especially
Even
on the
though that's-
3-point line one for always too.
Because there was one yesterday with the goal with Switzerland, and we were watching with my son. I'm like, I would just kick it straight down the middle. And he kicked it straight down the middle, but as he got ready to kick it, the goalkeeper was already diving to his right, and he was able to just kick it right down the middle. I'm like, oh, well, he had taken like 2 steps to his right before he
I
even
say
dove.
just get rid of the rule. Let the guy be moving. He can be walking, pacing back and forth.
Like if he runs straight up and then dives and scoops. Once he starts walking, or once the PK taker starts moving towards the
Do
ball,
whatever he
the
wants.
goalkeeper can then run.
It's one-on-one. It's one-on-one for 10 seconds.
It's like in dodgeball at the beginning when the ball's in the middle. Everybody runs to get there as fast as they can.
I can't believe any of these guys ever miss PKs, especially Messi. I mean, the amount of control some of these guys have when the ball's in the air, or those short hop, the goal Messi had yesterday off the short hop, able to put it exactly where he wants to. Ball's just sitting there. Why are you not putting it upper right corner, upper left corner every single time
but the goalie
at
can't even
70
stop
miles
it.
an hour? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if he guesses right.
Yeah.
It's above him. It's going to get there before he gets there.
I feel like you see some
It
of
just
that
shows the
sometime, and
pressure.
you're like, oh yeah, no one's touching that, and then
No one
instead they're
is.
like, what if I stutter step so I can slightly
or the
touch
ones
it?
where they just like barely touch it, right?
Yes.
And they just want to
And
embarrass
they
you.
turn around and just like, I got him. Yeah.
He dove left. I just rolled it in right.
And then you've got the ones that miss it 5 feet over the
Yeah,
goal,
I was
just
at yesterday.
launch it into the crowd. Like, oh my God! Like, what the hell
I
happened?
understand missing it left or right more than missing it high.
Yeah.
Because left or right, you're trying to maybe put it in the side pocket and trying to rip with. I'm like, okay, I can respect
Well,
that.
especially the guy from Colombia that missed it high but kicked it straight. Like, if you're going to kick it straight, it doesn't have to be high or low. If the guy's going to stand there, he's going to block it if it's high or low. If you're going to kick it, straight, just kick it on the ground straight. No
It's not
reason
like
to
it's
kick it in the air
Sterling
like
in
that.
goal.
Yeah, I mean, and I've had a lot of experience taking PKs in
Tons.
clutch situations. You know what I mean? Man in the arena, as they say. Pressure is a gift.
It's a
You know,
privilege.
it's a privilege to be able to have that pressure. And those guys, I've had so many privileges when it's come to pressure for PKs.
I was disappointed. I was pulling for Columbia
I was
and
too.
Argentina here.
Yeah, same.
That
I
could
like
have been
Colombia.
a madhouse.
I wanted it to be the.
I was getting empanadas today if they won. Now instead, I'm just getting chocolate.
Cheese, maybe?
Cheese, yeah. But I don't really like Swiss cheese. Give me the full cheese. Why are there holes in it?
You are holding an army knife right now. So
Yeah.
I became more neutral about the match on
Did you?
Saturday
Yeah,
now
so did
because
I.
of the whole thing. Yeah, I was. If it was going to be Argentina and Colombia, I was brainstorming and sort of workshopping a name for it, like this match, and I was thinking what I landed on was Armageddon at Arrowhead. That's what I.
little wordy. We can
Yeah.
workshop that, I think.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you just play Armageddon by
What is
Def Leppard.
Arrowhead, by the way?
Armageddon it.
Colossal
Armageddon
clash at Kansas City Stadium.
Somehow G
Again, we're noodling. We're noodling. We'll get it. We'll get it.
Somehow G still in there. Andy, yeah, it's great to see all the soccer that happened
Jake's-
at GH Field.
GH Field.
Is he gonna cut it down anymore? Is he gonna
The
be
G
H,
Field.
just H or G?
G Field.
H Field.
At G Field at Arrowhead and Kansas City Stadium.
Did you see the news that's now coming out of the royal wedding in Madison Square Garden?
Oh, that royal
wedding. Who caught the bouquet? Trey Smith's sister.
Really?
Caught the bouquet. That was his +1. How about that? That's pretty cool. Trey Smith's +1 was his sister. And Adam Sandler's advice to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift on a happy marriage. Andy Reid told this yesterday, the story on what Adam, because it was like they asked Andy, what's your advice for the couple? And he said, well, I'll tell you what Adam Sandler told him, his advice. Thought that was an NDA, but the advice that Andy Reid said that Adam Sandler told Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce was, no, his advice was never stop kissing.
Yeah, I saw Andy say that.
Yeah, that's what Adam Sandler told Taylor and Travis, never stop kissing.
How much does that bouquet go for? If you were just putting it up at auction,
Oh my God, that thing would be
tens of thousands of dollars?
yes,
At least.
Easily?
I think it goes 7 figures. If you get a crazy rich Taylor Swift, you got Taylor Swift's bouquet at her wedding,
100%.
7 figures.
Yeah.
Easy 7 figures. Yes.
If I was Trey Smith's sister, I'd be in the business of selling that bouquet, but
I don't know. I don't think Taylor would be okay with that.
it's not
But
a
do you
bouquet
care, though?
anymore.
Yeah,
it's
but
not hers anymore.
It's not Taylor's.
hang out.
You gave it away. In fact, you threw it. You just threw it away. You just threw it
Carelessly.
for anybody to get it. You weren't even looking when you threw it. You were so done with that thing, you just flipped it right over your head. Not even looking. Who
Bouquet probably weighs 400 pounds.
Who caught the garter? Who was the guy that? I know it wasn't Taylor Lewan. I know he didn't catch the garter.
So did they have the dance?
Thompson.
Did they have the dance and everything right there at the reception or at the Madison Square Garden?
No, I know all the paparazzi and the TMZs are trying to get as much information as they possibly can of what took place in there, and they're getting little nuggets here or there, like Trey Smith's sister caught the bouquet.
Yeah, there's a lot of other places to hold your wedding where you could be more private and stuff wouldn't get released in Madison Square Garden. But to each their own.
Yeah. So we know the bouquet, but we don't know the garter. But what was the first dance? What song
I heard
was
the
the
vows
first
were
dance?
like 20 minutes long.
Shocker. Were they Taylor's version? It's Kelsey's version?
Long and 22 minutes long.
Not 87 minutes
Not 87 minutes long?
That's too long.
That is too long.
8 minutes and 70 seconds. That's
I
what
think my
Kelsey.
entire
Kelsey's
wedding
like,
was
what
20
if it
minutes.
was? What if my vows were 8 minutes and 70 seconds? Like, so 9 minutes and 10 seconds? No, 8 minutes and 7. It's my number. Do you guys don't get this? You guys aren't understanding. 8 minutes and. I could see Kelsey arguing for that. I want 8 minutes and 70 seconds. Damn it.
And now
so
he's going to be in a dorm room in St. Joe in like a couple weeks. From there to there.
Man. From wherever they are.
Life comes at you fast.
On their honeymoon.
Yeah. I think I've seen pictures, from that.
Oh, really? They're on their honeymoon right now?
Who knows? Maybe it's AI.
They didn't take like a 2-week break in between, or, all right, we'll get to our honeymoon eventually. We need to save a little money. We went too crazy on the wedding that maybe we're not going to take our honeymoon immediately, but we'll get around to it eventually.
I wonder if the phrase "save money" will ever be uttered in their house.
It must be nice to like never ever have to worry about the price of anything.
What's it like, Sterling?
Oh, don't ask me, dog.
Too late. I asked.
It's
Dog.
not great. It's
that already happened.
You don't pay attention. All of a sudden, you see your statements, and you're like, "Whoa, when did I do that?"
Tell us about adult life.
I got so drunk and bought 200 koi fish.
No. Those are rescues. Those are rescues.
No. You got them from a shelter?
I got it from a shelter. Yes.
Fishing it from
hilarious.
a lake
Those
and releasing it in your pond is not a rescue.
It's not.
In fact, that's kidnapping.
It's not
That's
full
koi-napping.
breed. It's not full breed koi. It's part koi, part carp. Okay, it's kind of a mutt.
Yeah,
it's a mutt fish.
Yeah. Somehow some pit bull in there still too. It's crazy. No.
Fishing from the lake is koi napping.
They
It's
are
not
rescue
rescuing.
fish, and that's a great line to use at a bar. Because it shows off how generous I am. I saved these poor fish from utter destitution.
I didn't know they were rescue fish.
Yes, they were rescue fish because someone had to rescue them, and so
They don't just put them in lakes?
They're probably an invasive species, probably. I'm just a generous man who cares. They had a bad life. They were beaten. They were trampled upon, and
Really?
Probably
In the water, it's hard to
trample.
fish.
It's really hard
It
to trample,
is.
but
yeah.
so they're slowly coming out of their shell, and I'm getting.
Oh, they're in shells?
They're in shells?
They were, and then because they were so scared,
You bought crabs.
Yeah. You have crabs.
You have crabs.
Not sure if he bought
That's
them.
it.
You actually have crabs. Yeah.
He actually did. There was a transaction involved.
but they were rescue crabs.
Sterling tells the story of the.
She was a rescue lady of the night.
I got these from a kill shelter. These koi were about to be put down,
And I said,
saved
"Stop
them."
that! You give me those koi and the goldfish too. Give me both
And the crabs. I'll take the crabs.
Well,
if that's
because
what it
I
takes.
just picture under the sea. They're all Sebastian to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Should we play Rotten Tomatoes and change this subject of nonsense to get into
missed
some
that
real,
game. Yeah, let's go.
real hard-hitting stuff? Let's do that next. All right, hanging out on a Wednesday edition of the show. Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, a little best of with the Big 12 Media Days and the American Century Championship as Soren Petro broadcasting live from Lake Tahoe today, tomorrow, and Friday. Was there yesterday as well. So 3 more days for Soren in beautiful Lake Tahoe. And so that comes up at 6 o'clock, a little best of from what Todd was able to do in Dallas with Big 12 Media Days and what Soren will be doing over the next 4 hours when we are done here in just a little bit. Let's get some Rotten Tomatoes. Last week was enjoyable. It was all 4th of July themed movies last week, and I think we ended up doing 4 different movies because we had so much fun. We just kept going, and we're like the Energizer Bunny because you weren't there.
You did it without me.
That's exactly right. It was fun, and so you're like, oh my God, I haven't played this game in a long time. Yeah, it's been like at least
actually better.
7 days for us. All right, who do we want to start with first? Who won last week?
I think it was me.
Oh, it was me. I won.
Me, I think.
No, I actually won.
You actually finally
I actually
won
did win
finally.
one, yes, because Mick wasn't here, so I had a 1 in 3 chance of winning, not a 1 in
Darcy
7.
was giving you layups.
Yes.
But I wasn't missing them.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Actually, I was setting Jason up.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because he was so far off that it was allowing me to just be within 25 points of it. I'll go first since I won last week. I don't know what my theme is going to be, but we'll, find out eventually.
Should know it by now, I think.
Mike and Dave Stengel are young, adventurous, fun-loving brothers who tend to get out of control at family gatherings. When their sister Jeannie reveals her Hawaiian wedding plans, the rest of the clan insists that they both bring respectable dates. After placing an ad on Craigslist, the siblings decide to pick Tatiana and Alice.
I know what your theme is.
Two charming and seemingly normal, Craigslist. Charming and seemingly normal women. Once they arrive on the island, however, Mike and Dave realize that their companions are ready to get wild and party hard, starring Adam Devine and Zac Efron and Anna Kendrick and Aubrey Plaza. It is Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Sterling, what did the tomato meter say?
Never heard of this.
Oh my goodness, what?
I haven't either.
Seriously? James
It's
Franco?
Look at that
Is it
cast.
James or Dave? Is Dave Franco?
Yes.
Sounds like
And
an
then it
off-
was Adam Devine? Devine?
Zac Efron,
Zach.
Adam Devine, Anna Kendrick, and Aubrey Plaza. And Stephen Root was in that.
This sounds like a off-brand wedding
Badass.
crashers almost.
No, they're not crashing the wedding. They were invited. They just needed dates.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but I know the movie.
Are you going to go ahead and give us a number,
Yeah,
Sterling, or you're just going to talk about
I'll
it?
say 47%.
I'll say 62%.
Oh.
44.
You can't do that. That has to be 3.
You said 47.
Oh, shoot. I almost cussed
He
you.
said 44, so he can do that. And not only did he do it, he took the point. It's 38. 38. But was it a cult classic, Michael?
Damn it.
42%.
No, he is saying. I'm going to go a little bit higher with 56.
59.
Hold on, what'd you say?
42.
Mick, 51.
You know, a break from anything, you
51.
come back stronger,
That's
I think.
true. That
I
is-
don't
is
like
what
this.
they say.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Too
fan.
much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. All right, Sterling, your first movie.
Too much of a good thing gets you fat.
Okay.
Me. It's like key
Great.
lime pie and stuff.
Okay, great. Go right ahead.
I'm doing sequels.
Okay.
Sequels. Caddyshack 2.
Ooh, 2.
Fantastic sequel.
Yes, it was
I
a good
didn't
one.
know they actually. Oh yeah, actually I do remember that. I watched this movie.
I didn't know they made it except for the time I watched it.
Yeah, but so Caddyshack 2.
Okay. Michael, what did the tomato meter, what did the critics think of Caddyshack?
I don't think they liked it. I'm going to say 45.
50.
60.
No points. 4%.
Oh my
no
God.
way. 4. That's been one of the lowest we've had.
But was it a cult classic, Mick?
It's better than 4.
They did not like. I love the thing. Worst sequel of all time is what it is.
I liked it.
From the critic. That's from the critics.
38%.
54.
I was actually going to say 38, so I'll say 41.
You barely get it. 18.
Let's
Dang
go.
it. Wow.
Go.
Even the
Man,
even
18?
the popcorns didn't
I don't
like
remember-
it.
Was it?
that
What was his name?
bad.
Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie Mason.
Mason. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember being that bad, but I was also young when I watched Caddyshack
Yeah, I think
2.
so.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Same for me.
It's fine. Michael, your first movie?
My first movie is One Missed Call. When Beth Raymond witnesses the deaths of two friends, she knows there is more at work than just a tragic coincidence. Days before they die, both victims hear their terrifying final moments on cell phones. Through the police, Beth goes to Jack Andrews, who's played by Ed Burns.
Yeah.
He believes her, and together the pair unravel the mystery that is oncoming before their very eyes.
What's it called? One Missed Call?
One Missed Call.
What year?
2008. It's a horror movie.
Can you use it in a sentence? Language of origin?
He finds the most random,
I've never heard of this
unknown
movie.
movies.
I feel like I actually do.
You remember it?
The premise is
Remember.
one premise of most horror movies.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Call is coming from inside the house.
I just need to get this over with. 35%.
Mike, I swear I was like, I'm going to go 35 on this one. 25.
Probably too high. Do it.
22.
Do it.
You still get 0%.
Nice.
Oh,
you got
I
in
got
there.
22.
You got in there.
That's why I went 25.
I'm like, there has to be a reason. And when I said
That's
35,
why I went 20.
I'm like, I
That's
bet
why I
I
went
know the
25 to
reason.
cover
Dang
the
it.
whole thing.
I love
was
getting in
it
there.
a cult? It's a cult classic.
20.
I bet it's more than that. 32.
17.
29.
Oh,
God,
darn it.
22.
Yes.
He
darn
did
it.
set
He
it. Well, I
did
wasn't going
set
to go
up.
between.
Yeah, but that's it
the
between.
note.
You're not going to get between there.
No.
You don't want to do that.
No,
Mick Schaefer, your first movie.
My first movie is when he's forced to coach a girls' soccer team. A salesman stacks it with his girlfriend's son in disguise.
A good little respect.
Ladybugs. Rodney Dangerfield and Jack Hay was in it, and then the youngsters. He died.
He did die.
He did die. What was his name? I've got it right here.
He
but
was
I
a
can't
heartthrob, too.
He was. So this was 1992. Ladybugs.
1992, yeah.
Feels like something you've seen. You've
I
seen
remember-
10 movies. I bet this is one of them.
This is one of them where one of the jokes for the adults that I got as a 12-year-old that I laughed at was the first soccer practice. He opened up the trunk and he had a bag full of soccer balls, and he looked at, I got a lot of balls. I was like, I get that joke. I totally understand that joke.
It's a great joke for any age.
It's a double meaning because he's taking on the soccer team, and I'm going to say 40%.
Jonathan Brandis was his name, right?
Yeah, Brandis. Yep.
What are you saying?
40%.
Okay.
56.
I liked it, though. It was a fun movie.
37.
14%.
Wow.
What a lame critic vote.
Yeah,
Better
for
movie
real,
than that.
man. Much better.
You know what? I'll stick with it. 56%.
Oh, man. This might be a cult classic. If Mick likes it, it might be a cult classic.
I
I
like
will
Caddyshack
say
2. Base it on me.
42%.
39.
Ball game 43.
Oh,
man.
Michael. I'm going to need to get a point here.
Strong.
It's 3-2 to 2-0. I'm just, you know what? I'm resting on my laurels from last week's win, so I got that.
What was that one?
like
Laurel was a lady from the 1800s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her name was Laurel.
And when
And
you-
they
yes.
rested on her.
Well, she was comfortable.
She was sturdy.
Yes,
She was sturdy. She wasn't going to get
Some pillows.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, my second movie, set in 1985. This movie came
Who
out
got
in
that
98.
point?
Michael got
Michael
both.
Darcy got both of them.
Both of them.
Both. This
Both
movie
of what?
came out in 1998. But set in 1985, Adam Sandler plays a nice guy with a broken heart who's stuck in one of the most romantic jobs in the world, a wedding singer. He loses all hope when he is abandoned at the altar by his fiancée. He meets a young woman named Julia, who enlists his help to plan her wedding. Eventually, he falls in love with her and must win her over before she gets married.
But he has to do it every day because she forgets, right?
I've never even been kissed. It's called The Wedding Singer.
Mixed with 50 first dates. I think it's a fun movie. I don't think it's a very good movie, but it's a fun one. Critics won't like it. It'll be like 33%.
52%.
Oh, big gap.
That's a big gap. 55.
52, 55. Mick Schaefer, 72.
Let's go.
Wow, I'm surprised.
72%.
Like, I
by
liked the movie, but I didn't think that the
the-
critics would. And is this the one where he has the fake nose to start the movie?
Does he?
No.
I don't remember that.
Nope. This is the one where he sings at weddings. So,
I don't know.
love stinks.
Yeah.
Here. He does one of those songs that he sings like a lot like Adam
Nazareth?
Sandler.
Is that
Is that
Nazareth?
Zohan, the one you're thinking of? Is it a fake
No,
nose? Zohan, that
I
was a
think
bad-
the
that was a
beginning
bad
of one of
movie.
these movies when he gets dumped. the beginning of the movie is a fake nose and he gets plastic
Well,
surgery.
one of the
Dave Matthews, I think.
One of the critics said, "Finally, an Adam Sandler comedy that you can sit through without wanting to throw a mallet through the screen." Okay, there you go. So the critics did like it.
That's a compliment, I guess.
Michael, but was it a cult? Oh wait, was it also received warmly by the audience?
Yes, it was 83.
Yeah. What was the critics?
Critics had 72.
72. I'm going to go with that.
I think it's less. 69.
Nice, but Mick was right there, but didn't get it. It was 83.
And he had said 86.
It was 80.
I said 82.
He said 80. You said 83. 80 was right there, but you won. You got it, Michael.
80 was the answer.
80 was the answer. It was right there for Mick to get
I'm
to.
really surprised. I liked it. I did not think that'd be a movie that people.
All right, let's. Shall we fly through these? Let's fly through them. Sterling, go. We can't do the reading of it. Just give us the because we got a break.
Highlander 2.
Yes,
the quickening.
There can only be two, apparently.
35.
40.
5.
0.
Yeah, I got my first point.
Highlander 2.
But was the sequel a cult classic, Mick Schaefer?
Sure, to the tune of 19%.
11.
7.
23.
Let's go.
Oh, no.
Let's
Nice.
go.
50,000 plus ratings of that.
5 to 3 to 2 to 1. Mix up leading 5. Michael, your second one.
My second movie is Backtrack from 1990. It's a mystery and thriller.
Okay.
5.
15%.
2.
40%.
Wow.
Oh, you just got there, right?
Yeah.
25.
Yes. All
Just got it in.
Boom. Just got it in. I'm going to say
Past the goalie.
35%.
It was kind of a cult classic. 44.
What was the critics?
Critics was 40.
47.
25.
Yeah, that's
Worse.
Gosh dang it.
Again.
I'm bad at this game.
me. Yeah, you are very bad at this game.
I need my time, okay?
Final.
Too fast.
Kicking and screaming.
Oh,
Soccer themes.
yeah, good one.
Oh, your soccer theme. I love it.
Yeah.
This is one with Will Ferrell and
Robert Duvall and Mike Ditka.
Mike Ditka.
Yes.
You're the juice box guy.
You are.
Let's go with 52.
67.
I enjoyed it. I'm going to say 42.
41. Michael.
That's the mic.
The wire here.
I don't have a read.
5 for Mick, 4 for Michael, 3 for me, 2 for Sterling.
Big-
The
could be a
last
big one here.
one.
The issue is
big
I've
one.
seen too many of these movies. 67.
I'll say 51.
54.
44.
Oh no,
wrong way.
I didn't think it was that bad.
5 to 5 to 3 to 2.
Wasn't
Mick
good.
and Michael, the Eminem brothers, they tie
Fist
at
bump.
5. 3 for me. Sterling comes in last.
I have so many people I want to thank for coming.